Alrighty. What's going on, family? Beautiful people. How y'all doing? I hope everybody's uh embracing this full moon weekend. All right, coming into this full moon weekend in some positive, progressive Aquarian like vibes. Okay, so it's guys been such a busy, hectic week for me. My first house is doing numbers. All right, so I'm doing my best to balance personal priorities and responsibilities. Y'all know me. I like to live stream these type of transits, but I just wanted to make sure I get these energies out for everybody so we can have some clarity as to what's going on astrologically in our lives. All right, guys. So hopefully, hopefully, with this not being a live stream, I can get right to the points. All right, not too much side talking here and there. Um, so I want to get into the influences of the full moon. All right, let's see what type of activity is going on with the full moon, and then we're gonna go right into influences for all sun and rising signs. So first of all, we got the full moon in Leo. All right, we know the full moon is always going to be opposite the sun, and the new moon, all right, is always going to be conjunct the sun. All right. So that new moon energy is when the full moon and the sun get to meet up, refreshing each other, right? The moon gets to nurture and revitalize the new actions and new aspirations, the new awareness that the sun has. All right. And the sun gets to, get its vitality recharged by, rubbing shoulders with wifey, right? Getting that understanding from wifey, becoming more comfortable with the emotional intent in order to be proactive within the right vibration. Okay. So when we get into the full moon period, now we're doing the opposite. We're seeing how our travels have been since that new moon destination. And one thing that's important about the full moon is understanding, especially for my spiritualists, my witches, my sorcerers, my magicians out there. When we're doing ritual work or any type of magic around the new moon, the full moon helps us to understand, look at our process, look at our progress from that new moon energy. A lot of us, we set intentions for new things coming into our life during the new moon, but it's important to understand that during the full moon, you get to see how you have been attracting these opportunities for the things that you tried to initiate or that you had intention of bringing into your life, ushering into your life during the new moon, and how you might have gone your own way, little things to tweak here and there, things that you may not have put closure towards in previous cycles that are kind of blocking your new moon intention. So this is a great grace period for us to understand how to exhale, reflect, revise in order to carry on the rest of the solar season, sun in Aquarius, in a progressive way. All right, guys. So first of all, we got the full moon peaking today at 1:30, around one. It's like 1:28. Peaks at 1:28 p.m., but peaks around 1:30 p.m. And the activity we got going on with the full moon, first of all, it opposes the sun. All right. So we got the full moon in Leo opposing the sun in Aquarius. The sun in Aquarius energy is all about us, gaining a new awareness on how we influence our individuality, what's different about us, our uniqueness into the external realm. It puts more of a magnifying glass on our social circle, specifically relationships with like associates, business partners, people that we connect with out in the world, our colleagues, people we may be networking with, building projects with, on and on top of all forms of friendships, partnerships in our lives, right? Because it's an air sign, and air signs correlate to relationships. But now that the full moon is in Leo, Leo represents the inner child. Leo represents us being on the stage, how we conduct ourselves on the stage, aka how we deal with self-creative artistic expression. All right, how we like to have fun, what makes us feel more lively in life. So at this point, we're seeing how I named this video finding the inner child in the external realm, aka we're seeing how the things that we're creatively, artistically gifted with play a part in the external realm. Who can we connect these things with? Who can we network these things with? You know, where are the spaces in the external realm or out there in the outside world that we can, relate our creativity, how we can find spaces for our inner child to blossom. So this energy has a whole lot of emphasis on seeing how our social life impacts us dealing with our creative aspirations. And Leo's ruled by the sun, so it deals with being seen. Leo deals with attention energy. So how do we manifest attention for the things that we want, whether it's some form of any form of expression, right? You may be building a platform where you're the face of it. You may be on camera doing certain things. You may have an acting career. You may deal with music and art, and simply just expression in the most mundane, minor sense of the term. So dealing with expression in your life, this is a time where you'll realize that, the things that really fulfill you, especially when it comes into your aspirations, especially when it comes into the potential you see of yourself. Am I able to comfortably relate these things with people that's around me? This is going to be a huge thing on the conscious around this time. So I call this, y'all know me, I got some notes, but for the most part I just flow. I just look back just in case I missed anything. New downloads on how our image, appearance, and creative attributes are influenced in the external realm. Detaching from relationships or communities that don't align with our potential, or the way we want to conduct ourselves on the stage. So we know that the full moon is a time to, right, reflect, revise from the things that we set intention on during the new moon. But the full moon energy has a lot to do with releasing and detaching, no matter what sign it's in. Okay, the sun is already in Aquarius, so we're already dealing with a detached energy by default. So a lot of our partnerships and relationships, or communities and environments that we participate with, are going through transformations. And that huge influence of transformation is based off of our individuality not being us, feeling like our individuality is not accepted in some type of shape or form, or a clash of individualities in these partnerships and these communities we may be a part of. A lot of people are outgrowing their partnerships or environments and communities they're a part of, because maybe a personal aspiration you have can't be complemented in this partnership or this environment. So that's a real strong basis of why people's partnerships and relationships of all sorts are going through transformation around this time. Okay, now the moon is also going to be slightly, I want to slightly opposing Saturn in Aquarius. I like to keep, aspects within a 7-degree radius. I feel like once, if a planet is conjunct, if two planets are together and it's within 7 degrees, they're harmonizing with each other. But I feel like once it gets into 8, 9, 10 degrees, is not so much of an influence on each other. So I use the term slightly because the moon is peaking at 16 degrees, but Saturn is 26 degrees in Aquarius. So that's a 10-degree radius. So it's more of a slight opposition, but nonetheless, us dealing with these ending stages of Saturn in Aquarius, because we know Saturn's about to enter Pisces soon. Okay, and with Saturn in Aquarius, this whole past, year and a half, we've been really restructuring our reality based off relationships. We've been seeing transformations take place, continuously taking place in the external realm, with things dealing with social media, things dealing with technology. There's a new program, there's a new system being updated or initiated in the external realm every other day during Saturn in Aquarius. But for the most part, this has a lot to do because Aquarius is a spiritually inclined sign, family. All right. Aquarius deals with the unknown. Aquarius deals with things correlating to abstract thought. Aquarius rules astrology. All right. So Aquarius energy helps us to look at things from an out the box perspective. And the sun in Aquarius, they're sworn enemies. They're sworn enemies. Saturn doesn't reflect light, deals with restriction, limitation, and boundaries, wants to do things with order and with time. The sun doesn't like dealing with restriction in any sense. The sun wants to go. The sun doesn't like resistance when it comes to things it wants to take action on, because the sun is a pretty proactive energy. So when the sun and Aquarius get together, you got the sun being irritated by Saturn, because Saturn's always telling the sun to slow it up, build a plan before you go out there and take action. Well, you got to take 2 steps back, son, because you forgot building more of an efficient foundation with that thing that you have an aspiration on. Slow it up, son. Slow it up. All right. Try not to cuss out here. Okay. And Saturn gets irritated dealing with the sun because the sun deals with light, attention, and its ego. These are traits that Saturn can care less about. Saturn could care less about the ego and how it's being seen if there's no sense of stability, if there's no sense of structure, if there's no sense of organization, if there's no sense of discipline. So this is why these guys damn near have a hatred for each other. But when they square or oppose each other, we can feel that intensity, and not just feel the intensity. We can pick up on. We're gonna have a strong clarity and awareness around times where we got the sun and the Saturn squaring or opposing each other, or even conjunct, which the sun is going to conjunct Saturn towards the end of Aquarius season. And when we have these type of alignments, it really puts the mirror in our face for us to understand how maybe our actions, is causing our own suffering. Maybe how we would be, more on track or on path towards manifesting things with our personal aspirations if we exercise more discipline, time management, and structure in our lives. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow when you realize, you got these big dreams, aspirations, or the potential of how you see your self identity expanding, self identity, the sun, but you realize, you don't have as much of a system or foundation, routine, structure in your life. All right. But the great thing about that is once we catch that awareness, it helps us to revise, it helps us to get the foundation uh back stabilized in some type of shape or form. So that's going to be part of the influence we're dealing with now. So this is really just more of an emphasis on the sun in Leo, the sun in Aquarius opposing moon in Leo overall. All right. Saturn didn't have to be in Aquarius. And we were still going to feel that type of influence because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. All right. Now, we also gonna have the moon, the full moon in Leo sextile Mars in Gemini. All right. Understanding who shares our similar intentions and creative interests. Mars is in a relationship sign. Mars been in Gemini for like 56 years already. So this is a huge reason why we're going through a lot of relationship transformations. This influence more so is bringing transformation towards influences within our close environment, close friends. Some of y'all not talking to y'all close friends. So look at the relationship with your close friends since mid last year, especially going into that last quarter of last year, start of the fall season last year. Look at the state of your relationships with close friends. You guys may have went through certain influences, not probably detaching from siblings, close friends in some type of shape or form. Most likely did probably resolve some differences, hopefully, because Mars was retrograde, so it might have been a little stagnant energy when it comes into reconnecting if you did detach from these type of relationships, or if you didn't reconnect with these relationships. You're realizing right now you're not as uh you know you're not as excited and giddy to pour into these relationships because you're realizing certain personal aspirations, goals, intentions, passions, Mars that you have, you're thinking about them differently, or your peers, you think about these things differently. You're realizing the difference in thought when it comes into goals and aspirations amongst these type of relationships. All right. So this is why you and your siblings may not have been as connected as of recently, right? Or may have had some blow up situations in different type of shape or forms, or close friends or best friends. All right. Very important to understand. Okay. But guess what? This is a sextile. So this is a harmonious alignment. So right now we're bringing understanding to these things. Everything I just said about that Mars and Gemini transit, we're starting to become more comfortable and feel more whole with these situations, not guilt tripping ourselves about the fact that our relationships is going through transformation in these type of ways. All right. I also call this understanding who supports your visions, and feeling encouraged to embrace relationship transformation. So guys, right now during this full moon we're dealing with a lot of energies. That's the second strong alignment that's influencing how our creativity, aspirations, goals, or the potential that we're working on, how we're deciphering these things amongst our social groups. So, guys, I just want to make sure I emphasize this because around this time, you may be in a situation where, based off your social group, based off of community peers, people that are in your third house or in your 11th house, right? Uh, Colleagues, partnerships, associates, 11th house, Aquarius energy, or Gemini energy, third house, people that, close friends, siblings you grew up with, people that your roommates, people that you're naturally around all the time. You're going to feel a strong influence as to how these energies don't support where you're trying to go in life. And you can't neglect that. You cannot neglect that. If you care about your aspirations and goals as much, you will value your individual intentions, passions, and goals in order to manifest more relationships that harmoniously relate to these things. I've been saying this since the top of Aquarius season. This season has a lot to do with finding tribe, finding your soul tribe. Coming in contact with soulmates, coming in contact with more supportive and like-minded people in your life. But it's hard to do that when you are so uh when you feel such a duty and responsibility to uphold familiar relationships in your life. You got to be able to see how your change of thought changes your external realm, and at times it may change certain relationships you've been dealing with for the majority of your life. And another hard pill to swallow is when you have a strong aspiration, new goal for something. You're getting more. You're walking your spiritual path some more, right? You're getting more into developing your belief system, experiencing different things with spirituality, learning different things, or just developing new aspirations and goals overall that can bring transformation to your life. And it could be a little it could be, leave a little bad taste in our mouth, of kind of bittersweet, when we realize the people that we really care about, that we spend so much time with, that we have so much history with, are not supportive or really don't understand what we're trying to do in our life, especially with, Mars and Gemini energy. Part of why we've dealt with a lot of transformation around this time is because, Mars is an individual. So a lot of you, but while Mars is being an individual, Gemini is one of the most relatable signs in the zodiac. So a lot of us have been in spaces where we've been trying to inspire, motivate Mars, our close friends, our social groups, in order to understand how they can manifest transformation in their life journey, joining this journey that we're in, that we're on. And when we realize there's a difference in thought, when we realize that these people can't see these visions, that can that can take a little hit to the heart chakra. But you got to understand that this is part of the process. You can't initiate, certain rituals. You can't initiate certain intentions in your life dealing with transformation, and not and then at the same time try to hold on to the relationships that are being transformed. That's a part of the process, family. All right. So that's Moon sextile Mars, and overall, Moon in Leo, Mars in Gemini. You know, uh, just disregarding the signs, just with the full moon harmonizing with Mars, this can be an intense time because the full moon is illuminated. All right, so our emotions, we're very sensitive. We want to make sure we're not reacting to things impulsively, but this is a time that people will feel encouraged to break out of these cycles, break out of these relationships that may hinder the things that you're trying to create in your life. Keyword Leo: create, creation, creative energy. Okay, then we also got the full moon in Leo squaring Uranus and Taurus. Now, the full moon and the sun is squaring Uranus. The full moon in Leo squaring Uranus and Taurus. The sun in Aquarius is squaring Uranus in Taurus. So shout out to my fixed signs. You guys are, you guys can be feeling some intense vibes right now. A lot of you guys may be feeling like you need to break out of environments or partnerships that really hold back your individuality in some type of shape or form. I should have mentioned earlier, if you have placements anywhere around, 13 13 to 20 degrees of a fixed sign. So this will be any planet, any placement around 13 to 20 degrees of Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, or Leo. You guys are feeling this energy the most, let alone just being having one of these placements at, as one of the more dominant placements in your chart. If you're a fixed sun, moon, or rising. All right. So you guys are picking up on this energy the most. All right. But when we look at that moon in Leo square Uranus and Taurus, anytime Uranus is in the mix, in a square or opposition, with the moon, we have to make, at times we're gonna have to embrace reacting in what may feel uncomfortable, but what can end up feeling empowering when it comes into, reacting to things with a more individual point of view, making certain decisions that place us in a space to have more of an authority, ownership over a space, environment, work field, how we're navigating our career path, or just dealing with our personal aspirations. You may be, once again, in an environment or a partnership that holds back a lot of, that doesn't, is not supportive. All right. Doesn't relate to a lot of the things that you want to manifest in your life individually. Uranus is all about the individual. Uranus is all about claiming its power, authority, but it's opposing, it's rebellious. It don't care about aligning with everybody else. So this what creates power and control issues and influences for transformation. Okay. The moon in Leo, a lot of you guys, like universe works in a divine way. And not to just side talk, guys. I've been doing readings now for 3 consistent years, and the past couple of readings I had, it just brought more realization as to how the chart has such a divine makeup to it, such a divine story. For every square and opposition you have, for every, whether it's your Lilith and your Chiron or your North Node, for all the things that we have, placements that influence, karmic lessons and things for us to learn in this lifetime, you are going to be strapped and equipped with gifts and opportunities to tackle these things. So when I look at the chart, it's the pure example of God doesn't give you any battles that you can't conquer. All right. So this is just a side jump for everybody to know. It don't matter what you're experiencing in life right now. As far as issues, challenges, life be life. I get it, y'all. Life be mother in life in. Okay. But in them times of darkness, you have to understand you have everything to get yourself out of that darkness and learn from that dark state. It's one thing to get yourself out of a dark state, but learn what was the lesson of me being in that dark space. All right. What was there to gain? Because there's always a lot to gain when we're dealing with challenges, obstacles, and issues in our life. And the spiritually inclined, the more spiritually aware and inclined you become, the more you understand these things, the more you understand these things about life. All right, guys. So Moon and Leo square Uranus and Taurus encourage to place our individuality, unique creative expression on the stage. Okay, so Leo deals with that attention energy, but then we got Uranus and Taurus. So right now, a lot of us are going through transformations in our life, trying to really find what we really value, people, places, and things, but also find the value within ourselves. All right, seeing what type of gifts, talents that we have that we can bring into this age of Aquarius, where people are dealing with all type of unique career paths in this age. Right, you look at career paths right now with this age of Aquarius, the internet technology in comparison to the 90s, the 80s. There's such an influx of new career paths that one can take for any talent that anybody has, for any creative aspiration anybody has, for any interest, hobby anybody has. It can get monetized. It can be something that can be branded. It can be something that can turn into a form of stability or foundation in your life. We have so many different systems developed in this time for us to be able to connect these things into the world and find others who may value these same things. All right, whether it's an ASMR, you eating coconuts, in the microphone, whether you teaching spirituality, whether you dealing with real estate, there are a bunch of new programs for you to utilize to be able to stabilize yourself and bring this value to the world. But with Uranus and Taurus is going to continue to place us in situations, to be honest with you, with Uranus and Taurus, because we know Uranus is a generational planet. So it stays in the sign way longer than other planets. When we look at them, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune transits, they're going to stay in the sign for a little minute. Okay. And with that being said, that whole period that planet is transiting a sign, that creates a chapter in our life where we're trying to understand, how to utilize that placement, right? It's not just a week, it's not just a month, it's not just a couple of months. That's a whole close to a decade. That's a whole 5, 6, 7 years. So with Uranus and Taurus, a lot of the frustration we could be dealing with in our life, especially fixed signs, especially strong Scorpio placements, strong Taurus placements, Leo placements, Aquarius placements, especially you guys are going through a chapter in your life right now where you may be in a certain, you may be navigating career path this way, or you may be dealing with your creative attributes this way, but you're trying to get into a space where you're trying to understand, how do I individually own what I'm doing, right? How do I get to put my own name in what I'm doing instead of being in this environment, having authorities over me in some type of shape or form? And as you try to initiate things, you're going through transformation. So, for example, Uranus and Taurus, you may have went to law school. You may have that's been your life. Your parents was adamant about you going to law school to stand the third. You went to law school, you passed your exams, and you've been in this career for a while now. And now you're in a space where you want to do this, and the third. You want to deal with technology now. You want to create an app for this and the third now. And people may look at you like, why are you throwing your career away? You work so hard for this and the third, even though these intentions you have, right, of creating an app or dealing with technology is something that you see way more potential of, and it makes you believe is going to fulfill you with your purpose in life, manifesting this path for yourself. So it may be your parents. You may go through a divorce. You may break up with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, based off of these things. So best believe Uranus and Taurus energy has a lot with us, going through transformations, trying to find the value we have to connect to the world. And when other people don't align with these things, this is kind of showing you that some magic is working. When you're manifesting something for yourself individually and you're seeing people around you don't really resonate with it like that, You're seeing that you may not gain so much support from people that you've known your whole life for the majority of your life. Yeah, you really initiating some change in your life. That transformation you're trying to seek, it's on its way. As the more you embrace the changes with these relationships, once again, this is a prevalent theme that we're experiencing right now. The more you embrace the transformation of these relationships, it's more of a sign as to you getting to a space where other people value and can relate to these things. All right. So I also have written down here understanding what aspirations and values we neglect due to peer pressure, people projecting on you, and learning how to break out of these molds. Basically, what I just said. So, right now, Moon and Leo square Uranus, that strong friction, Moon and Sun square Uranus, so we got the creative energy, the creative potential self identity energy from Leo. And then we got the sun in Aquarius dealing with our associates, peers in the external realm, right? Communities, partnerships we may be a part of. And we're seeing how these spaces right here are being how they may be filtering energies that are blocking Uranus and Taurus energy, us finding our individuality. So we may have to detach from these energies in some type of shape or form. All right. You know, full moon in Leo, shit. Speaking about this energy again, Leo does deal with having fun. Leo does deal with having fun. Okay. Leo rules the club, rules parties. All right. So you got to make sure you're balanced with how much you may be how much you may be imbalanced with, things you like to do for fun, leisure, hobbies, and interests, and the things that you may have to make sacrifices to create more time to build up, whether it's a project, how you're navigating career path, this, that, and the third. And you got to take my advice with a salt of grain, y'all, because I'm a whole Capricorn moon rising. So a lot of times I need to do a better job learning how to have more of a balance in my life with actually doing the things I like to do to have fun with instead of just overwhelming myself with things that I'm trying to build, stabilize in this lifetime. It's so funny because when I come in contact with people with strong fifth house placements, I got Gemini in the fifth house. So when I come in contact with like Geminis, people with strong fifth house placements, Leo placements, they always give me this example. They always show me how much the things I like to do, whether it's making music, playing basketball, this, that, and the third. These are things that fulfill me that I'm not trying to make no money off of, but when I do it, I feel fulfilled. It makes me happy. It wakes up my inner child. And they are a reflection to me as how I neglect these things. So this energy helps us to find the balance between these things. Nonetheless, if you may have been overindulging into a lot of fifth house energy in your life, this is a time for you to be able to reflect on that. Like, damn, I've been clubbing too much. I've been spending too much money on, all these outfits, this, that, and the third to go out, and my closet is already stacked. These are resources I could be using to build this, that, and the third. This is time that I could that if I detach from these type of habits or whatnot, it could create more time for something that I want to build to stand the third. All right. These are all influences that if you're feeling around this time, you want to trust that intuition of what type of ways, what type of decisions need to be made around this time. Okay. Now, before the moon got to the degree it's getting to, all right, as I'm recording this, it's 10 a.m. All right, it's 10 a.m. So we know the moon is about to peak in a few hours from now. And as I'm recording this, when the moon entered Leo, right, it started to square the north node in Taurus. So this is more of an emphasis on what I'm saying. How does the things that we're pouring into as far as our value system, Taurus energy, people, places, and things that we value, how do these things connect to the inner child? Are we doing a good job making sure that, fifth house energies are not clashing? Fifth house Leo like energies are not clashing with our value system, the things that we say we value and we're trying to build and stabilize in our life. Taurus has a huge influence on stability and security. All right. How do responsibilities and priorities clash with our ability to be balanced with the things that fulfill us, right? That fulfill the inner child. These are all things to keep in mind, especially with that moon entering Leo and having that square with the North Node in Taurus for the majority of yesterday, right? Saturday. Okay. And then so that's the activity with the sun and moon, and just some key placements to keep in mind around this time. Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. All right. So we are right now we do have sober, stable thoughts. However, let's take stable out there a little bit. Let's say sober thoughts, but because when you're Pluto's in the mix. So when Pluto's by Mercury, we can have very changeable thoughts, very transformative thoughts. I have this alignment, Mercury conjunct Pluto. So at times it's hard for me to keep my mind stabilized on things because I'm always seeing different ways to change things, different ways to transform things, right? But the beauty to this alignment is being able to think about the shadow, think about your, your desires, your subconscious on a deeper level, understand other people's, be detail oriented or critically aware of how other people deal with their subconscious in some type of shape or form. So right now, Mercury conjunct Pluto and Capricorn, this energy helps us to see how our subconscious has either persevered or transformed or took a toll from things that we're trying to build and structure in our life. Capricorn energy, okay? Um, I call it changeable thoughts, transformative thoughts, right? Mind on the shadow and deep desires and how it affects our reality. So, Pluto also deal with our deep desires. So right now you can see how things that, whether it's a trauma, insecurity, or things that's just pent up in the subconscious, right? How these things are actually a blockage towards what you're trying to build. So we got to understand how to Pluto transmute this energy, you know, how to take things that we may have, take energies and influences that may have been heavy on us in certain states of our life, especially certain frustrations we may have picked up on through career and things that we're trying to build and structure in our life, and how we got to use that as a building block to encourage us to embrace these new ideas or new ways of tweaking things with navigating career path, all right, or stabilizing ourselves or anything that we're trying to build in our life overall, all right. And then Venus in Pisces, squaring Mars in Gemini. Let me drink some water on this one. You know, with Venus in Pisces squaring Mars in Gemini, uh this alignment formed early this week, and we got Venus and Pisces, which we know has had everybody in the love days, right? We got the exaltation of love in the air. Okay, so we're very sensitive towards things dealing with love matters, our subconscious, things within our dreams and our imagination. They feel right here, even though they're not right here in reality. But our ability to daydream and see the potential is extremely vivid right now. On top of us also understanding how the people, places, and things that we value or how we value ourselves, our self-esteem is either attracting or keeping us disconnected from our dreams, potential, and our aspirations, right? And it's just right now we have a strong crave for intimacy. Okay, a lot of Pisces out there, a lot of y'all getting engaged, right? Venus and Pisces got a lot of people in honeymoon phase right now. I had made a post saying, especially while the moon was in Cancer this week, harmonizing with Venus and Pisces, I made a post saying how, you know, it's funny how we may have got out of certain relationships and situations and thought we weren't able to love again. We thought we wouldn't be able to have this create situations or manifest situations in our life where we like somebody so much, so hard, right? And these things may have been happening quickly for people. You may have got out of a relationship in December and you just met somebody right now and you're head over heels over this individual. You see so much potential in this individual. You know, we're just going on 2 weeks of this energy. So the transit is very young, it's still early. So with Venus and Pisces, you got to do your best to stabilize your emotions with, these new relationship opportunities and potential with things on top of. Y'all know me, I got to give the real on Venus and Pisces also helps us to see how our insecurities or how we play out self-sabotaging tendencies when it comes into our love matters, how we may deal with escapism in some type of shape or form with love matters. And this is a time where we're definitely more sensitive towards any form of attachments in our lives. So, if there's an attachment you've been dealing with, let's say is a substance, let's say is a person you're overly dependent on, right? Anything that you don't have control of, it has control over you. Right now, it's easy with Venus and Pisces to really sink into a dark space with that attachment, but really get extremely tired dealing with that energy. I mentioned going into this Venus and Pisces transit, in which I'm still gonna do a Venus and Pisces update since I didn't get to do a live stream when it got into this when Venus got into Pisces. But it's important to understand that you know uh I said things dealing with our attachments is gonna be very very potent around this time, very vivid. You're going to be able to understand what you're overly dependent on right now. And these things are going to be strong. And you're not going to like the feeling of having these things having a hold over you, because especially with Venus and Pisces, because when Venus is in Pisces, she don't see no limitation towards anything dealing with love matters, dealing with, her imagination. Pisces energy is boundless. So if you're dealing with something that's restricting you from more of a healthier love, healthier intimate relationship, if you're dealing with something that's restricting you from pouring into, your creative endeavors, things that in your imagination that you're trying to bring down into reality, that's very frustrating to Venus, because she's like, yo, I'm in Pisces. I'm not supposed to be dealing with no restrictions with things here. Okay. And also got to be very wise on how we utilize certain people, places, and things, habits, substances, or whatnot, as things that we're utilizing to escape from the external realm, to escape from certain dark energies that we don't want to face when it comes into how we may be in our own way be in our own way when it comes to manifesting things in our dreams and our imagination. All right. But then we got it squaring Mars in Gemini. Okay. So I call this learning how to bring the imagination to the external, learning how to relate your imagination right now. There's going to be a lot of downloads you guys have, which may feel uncomfortable when you think about yourself taking action on these ideas, but these downloads are going to have a lot to do with different Gemini ideas too, right? You're going to be seeing a lot of potential in creating new perspectives on how you can relate things that you're creatively invested to others, different ways on how you can articulate your inner thoughts, feelings, and emotions, to people in your surroundings, right? So this is really important. Close relationship changes based off belief systems. This is another thing that's going on right now. Pisces has a lot to do with belief systems. All right. So a lot of us can be fighting peer pressure and fighting, people having forceful, aggressive projections on us. So they may not even be real settled with this energy. You might have your siblings tell you straight up, like, you really be into that astrology shit. This is why they stand the third. You really got that aspiration to do this, that, and the third. Why don't you just do this, that? Why don't you just stay content with what you're doing? You make good money doing it. I wish I had the job that you're doing this, that, and the third. But motherfucker, that shit don't fulfill me. All right. It don't align. This career path don't align with what I go to sleep seeing every day, what I be daydreaming about every day. All right. So that's real important to understand with this Venus square of Mars energy. And Venus also is a relatable, supportive energy, but Mars is a passionate individual. So right now, you have to be careful of not draining yourself to try to value important to somebody else's intentions. If they're not something that you're so relatable with, especially if you're in an intimate situation, especially within your romantic life. All right, guys. So those are the influences in the air. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with Leo. We're going to start with Leo placements and work our way all the way to Cancer. All right. So Leo, suns and risings. The full moon is fully illuminated in that first house. So right now, your personal aspirations, personal goals, and your personal identity, you're feeling deeply on these things. You're feeling deeply on these things. All right. You're very sensitive to everything dealing with circumstances in your personal life, especially when it comes into, the potential of where you feel like you should be blossoming in your personal life with all personal aspirations and goals. Right. The first house deals with our self-identity, deals with the body. Right now, you could be real critical about the things dealing with your body, with your appearance. Try not to overwhelm yourself with these things. You feel like you can make a change with your physical appearance. Make sure you're not making impulsive decisions. You're not just cutting your hair, dyeing your hair a whole nother color because you're dealing with any type of emotional distress in your life right now. You could be very impulsive in that way, especially because it's opposing the sun and Saturn in your seventh house. All right. Just having Saturn transiting your seventh house in the past year and a half, this has been a very, I don't want to say so much transformative, but this definitely has been a past year and a half for a lot of my Leo sons, Leo rising out there, where you may have really been in more of a state of solitude. Your relationship activity dealing with others may have dimmed down, or you may have gained more of a reality of your relationship life, understanding how you get in your own way with the potential to build with things in your relationship life, or you're changing. You have more stable ways of looking, more stable, realistic, practical ways of looking at relationships, and that mindset alone might have changed certain tendencies and habits to explore relationships, because you're trying to manifest something that's more stable in your life. Okay, but the sun is transiting this house, so your awareness is all up in relationship energy right now. Okay, your awareness is on the state of you and your partner. you and your colleagues and coworkers, you and your close friends, relationships of all sorts. Okay, you're understanding things about your own personal relationship tendencies. So best believe Leo, Suns, Leo risings. You got close friends, partners telling you about yourself around this time. I hope you're listening because the sun may be utilizing them as a vessel for you to understand how you may be certain tendencies or whatnot, block the potential of how you can build certain partnerships in your life. You could have broke up with somebody while Saturn was in the seventh house, and they may have said something to you at the end of this relationship, like, yo, you know what, you're never gonna manifest a healthy relationship until you learn how to listen, until you stop learning how to be so selfish, until you understand how things is not all about you, to stand the third. It may have hit your ego, it may have hit the heart chakra when they were leaving. You may have been sensitive towards those words, but that may have been what you needed to really hear, going into your next relationship or dealing with all forms of partnerships you're dealing with right now. So this is the balance you're gaining right now between the first and the seventh house. How does my personal relationships, how does my vibrant personality, my natural creative aspirations in my first house, or just the things that I'm so sensitive towards, right? The potential of what I want to grow in my first house. How do I play that a part in my seventh house for the rest of Aquarius season? Okay, making sure right now that the ego is not blocking, relationships and partnerships, business partnerships that have the potential to bring a lot of stability in your life right now. It's very important to understand. All right. Now, the full moon is also sextiling Mars in your 11th house. So, Leo, Suns, Leo risings, you guys have direct access into bringing things with your personal awareness, things that you're personally interested in, your personal experience with things, and your creative attributes has a direct access into the 11th house, aka to people you don't know, environments you don't know. Around this time, I want to be surprised if you have mutual friends, colleagues, people in the workspace right now trying to invite you into different events, trying to invite you places that you've never been, or giving you advice or information on how you could take something that they see from you personally, because your chart ruled by the sun, you hold Leo, sun, Leo rising. So people may be seeing things in you and be giving you advice on where you can take that awareness for it to thrive. You need to take that brand that's stand there to these pop-up shops over here, or you need to come to this expo over here, this, that, and the third. These may be places you've never been before, but there's a whole bunch of opportunity in that 11th house for people to want to support and value what is it dealing with your personal aspirations or where your personality can shine very bright at right now. All right. It's very important to understand around this time. And then, but with that being said, you guys have to be open though. You guys have to be open into these spaces. You're a fixed sign. So sometimes you guys have the gift of dealing with concentration. You guys have the gift of being able to be locked in on something and be consistent. So don't be too stubborn or close-minded as to how other people that have an awareness about or have an awareness or see potential in something that you possess personally, and how that can thrive and blossom in another environment. Don't be too stubborn towards these things right now, because this is coming in the form of an opportunity. All right. And then we have the full moon squaring Uranus in the 10th house, Leo. Leo, right now, there's a lot of things that you want to transform in your 10th house, and it may have been like this in a while. It may have been a lot of things dealing with your career path, and it may have also, more specifically, a lot of inner battles that you're dealing with. How you may have a 10th house status for you may have a 10th house status for doing this, that, and the third. This is how people see you in the world. This is how people been seeing you. But now you have a strong intention to want to start doing this in career, but you're too worried or paying attention towards how people around you are going to think about these things and how your status is going to change with these things, the opinions and critiques people are going to have about this new status that you're going to be developing, this new way of being seen in the world. This is what you got to learn to deal with around this time. This is going to be a heavy lesson to learn around this time, or a heavy lesson for you to bring understanding as to you have to embrace all things that transform, with you starting to teach spirituality online, with you wanting to go from being a working as an engineer into dealing with this creative attribute and being seen for this, you know, you being known as an athlete, but now you want to do music, and you're looking at and you're thinking about everybody looking at you like, now you want to do music to stand the third. This is what you've been experiencing with Uranus in the 10th house. A lot of career transformation, finding where your individuality is suitable and is comfortable at in that 10th house. And until you embrace these type of situations, you can feel a stagnant energy in your personal life, right? specifically around this time. Okay, feel a little stagnant energy in your personal life, and it may just feel like you putting all that creativity, all that potential with that Leo rising in the first house, that sun energy in the first house. You're gonna feel like you're restricting that energy from being seen and being attached to some form of status and new ways of being broadcasted in the world. All right. So this may be a time that deals with heavy friction around this time. I should have said, with the full moon transits, we pick up on a lot of these energies about 2 moons and 2, 3 moons after. So this week that we're finishing up, going into this new week, you be very aware of how certain frustrations you may be dealing with in the 10th house, or with career, or people projecting on you, or peer pressure in different type of ways when it comes into things you want to transform and initiate in your 10th house. This, once again, this is more of a sign of you actually doing something right, you thinking and feeling the right thing. All right. So that's what we got going on for my Leos, my beloved Leo suns and risings. Then we got Virgo. Wait, matter of fact, I want to stop the camera so it helps me do timestamps. All right. Virgo sun, Virgo risings. We got the full moon transiting that 12th house. The moon like them water houses, right? It likes to, because moon deal with currents, vibrations. All right. So when the full moon is in the 12th house, it's like, ooh, I get to bring some understanding to what's going on within me subconsciously. And we know this is more of a spiritually, creatively inclined house. So with the full moon transit in the 12th house, we know it's opposing the sun and Saturn in that sixth house. All right. Now, Virgo, Sun, Virgo risings, you already know your archetype. Even if you don't have six house placements, naturally, your personal archetype has a lot to do with six house like themes: stability, work and security, wellness, health, structure, regimen, routine. Okay. Now, you got the full moon transiting in the 12th house. You're seeing right now how things in your 12th house can fit into your sixth house. How does things dealing with your creative attributes and your imagination? First of all, how do you neglect these things based off the sixth house responsibilities? That's one thing to keep in mind there. How does the things that you're trying to initiate and build in your sixth house right now, new things you're trying to put into your routine, new things you're trying to navigate in career path, are you neglecting your 12th house? Are you neglecting your 12th house? Are you trying to find a new job because you want to get paid more, when deep down intuitive you feel like, I don't need to be finding a new job. I need to be building my dreams. I need to be building my imagination. If I work on that, if I routine that, if I routine this boutique I want to create, if I routine this brand that I want to build, this platform I want to build, helping people counsel relationships and deal with the subconscious and healing, or dealing with creativity, or teaching people how to deal with creativity, I won't be trying to find this job and move from this job from time to time. Even if I find a job that pays me the way I want to be paid, what's the potential of how I could build stability aspiring to do these things? So Virgo Sun, Virgo risings, you are in a heavy state right now where you may be dealing with vulnerabilities, trying to uh this full moon in Leo. I want to say it's encouraging you to take a leap of faith, but the thing is, it's not so much of a leap of faith when you are gifted with understanding how to structure something. You just may be trying to structure too much in the matrix. You may be trying to structure too much in reality, instead of bringing your natural abilities to work and structure something towards an actual aspiration, creative endeavor, creative attribute, healing attribute. You guys are natural healers. You guys understand wellness on intuitive levels. Okay. So I need y'all to understand that around this time. Now, the full moon is also sextiling Mars in the 10th house. So Earth houses is really stimulated for you guys as far as trying to pull your 12th house energy in here. The 12th house also deals with insecurities, uh, because deal with the subconscious. All subconscious houses are going to deal with insecurities, because that's where our insecurities are at. They're deep in our subconscious, right? So this house is going to deal with our insecurities. These houses deal with trauma. These houses deal with pent up energies in our subconscious. And because these houses deal with that, these are the houses that develop a lot of wisdom dealing with navigating the subconscious. So right now, Virgo, Sun, Virgo rising, a lot of you guys may be realizing how much experience and wisdom y'all have with things dealing with healing and understanding the subconscious, and how that can play a part in career in some type of shape or form, on top of your creative artistic attributes, on top of things in your imagination by default. So Virgo, Sun, Virgo risings, like I said, and I know a lot of you guys. I attract a lot of you guys in my life. I understand what type of what type I just from my peers or whatnot, or these personal relationships I have with a lot of Virgo sun risings, I see a lot of y'all dealing with the I'm working this job, or I'm in this environment that's stable, or I really want to get this other job that helps me stay stable. But what if I do just take a leap of faith and put my music out there? What if I just take a leap of faith and create this brand and platform, or I start teaching this, or I start doing that? Follow that intuition. Follow that intuition. And you don't, that's another thing, Virgo sunrise. You don't have to, I know you guys have a high standard of perfection, right? You guys are perfectionists, but you got to understand things happen gradually. Trust your ability to structure and work on something and learn on the go. You can keep your job while pouring into your dream. You don't have to be so extreme. Okay. Very important. But I definitely see, a lot of you guys, and this is a sextile. This is the full moon 12th sextile in the 10th house. So just having the 12th house naturally sextile the 10th house, that shows us that, we can always build status. We can always, build some stability in our life based off things dealing with our experience, our belief systems, right? AKA the knowledge and wisdom we have about things, our creative attributes. So Virgo Sun, Virgo Rising, I need y'all to get with that. I need you to get with it. I need you to get with it. Take that leap of faith. Understand you ain't gonna fall. You too stable to fall. You know, you got stocks, you got some crypto money, you got some savings. You'll be all right. And then the full moon is also squaring Uranus in the ninth house. Okay. So there could be some transformations you're going through with your belief systems, period, right now. Ninth house, spiritually inclined house, dealing with higher education. 12th house, dealing with our belief systems, right? So right now, you guys could just be going through transformations, but understanding the moon squaring Uranus in the ninth house, it may be certain individual practices you're trying to dive into. Maybe certain hold on, guys. It may be certain spiritual practices or things that you want to apply for, whether it's a course, whether it's something that you want to go to school for, this that, and the third, something you want to gain more education with, or something that you want to initiate as far as work walking your spiritual path. And you may be feeling like, uh I don't want to say it's disrupting your reality, but you just may not feel as comfortable as initiating these new things, even though you're feeling a strong spiritual calling to start dealing with tarot, strong spiritual calling, into teaching this that, and the third, strong spiritual calling to gain some education about something creatively, spiritually, in order to have the credentials or whatnot to connect it to others because it's aligning with your belief system. You're feeling like the 12th house, the more that I embrace the things I want to individually gain knowledge about in this ninth house, right? It's going to actually help me to fulfill things in my imagination right now. I see you guys definitely going through a little dealing with some friction, dealing with education if you guys are students in any type of shape or form. So just be cool with that. Things will open up as far as, applying to this school, getting into this school, waiting for responses, this, that, and the third. Maybe just some slight friction in that area. Stay patient with that. All right. But for the most part, that's how I see this energy. Full moon in the 12th house, squaring Uranus in the ninth house. Getting more comfortable with your own individual spiritual practices and pursuits, regardless of what type of environment that you're in, regardless of what type of cultures and traditions you may be a part of, because that second ninth house axis has a lot to do with tradition and culture. So you got it with Uranus in that ninth house, a lot of y'all building y'all altar, hiding that shit, waiting till nobody's home to deal with your candle magic, the standard third. A lot of y'all dealing with a lot of that shit right there. Okay. But you can't neglect your spirituality based off of your upbringing. You can't do that. A lot of us are here to learn how to break that mold. All right. So that's what we got going on, my Virgo suns, Virgo risings, Libra sun, Libra risings. All right. So we got the full moon in the 11th house. Full moon in the 11th house. So this energy has you full all activity dealing with the 11th house is fully illuminated. You're understanding your influence on others in the world. You're understanding how possibly you might have certain creative attributes or things that you have awareness about, certain aspirations, how they may be more accepted in the 11th house. You're gaining more clarity and you're more sensitive towards all groups, environment, all groups, social groups that you may be a part of, seeing, and you're a very relatable person. As a Libra sun, Libra rising, it ain't really no group that you can't be a part of. You know, you may detach and ghost from the group once you feel like it ain't your vibe, but for the most part, you come into it seeing how you place effort in seeing how you could add into this this community or this partnership in some type of shape or form. So right now you're sensitive into understanding, you know, that strong Aquarius 11th house energy, where the potential of where, things for you can be accepted at, and also seeing how there is a difference with people in this 11th house and how you may have to detach, fall back a little bit from some of these environments. Libra Sun, Libra Risings, I love y'all, but y'all do know we is some of the most gullible signs in the zodiac. So sometimes we'll go rob a bank with other people. We'll get into crime. We heavily adapt the influence of people around us, and sometimes it takes Libra Sun, Libra Risings a long time to realize that they have been heavily influenced by people around them. Okay, especially if you don't have a lot of placements that really influence individuality, right? Like, so if you're a Libra Sun, Libra Rising, but you have more, your big three is relatable, right? Your moon is in Pisces, your moon is in Gemini. You know, you have a debilitated Mars, you have a debilitated Uranus in some type of shape or form. It may take you a while to realize how much you just go with the pack or you're heavily influenced by others. My mother always used to tell me, even though my mother's very dramatic, she a Gemini Scorpio moon with a Mars and Leo, extremely dramatic. And when I was younger, anything that anything that I did that didn't align with my family culture tradition in some type of shape or form, she always would say, I'm always doing things other people influence me to do. So when I got my ears pierced, when I got my first tattoos and whatnot, she was like, you always do things your friends want to do, this, that, and the third, you know. And she may have been wrong in that state, but then again, there were certain times in my adolescent stages, I was following the wrong pack for a little bit. I could have, thank God I found God at the right times, because there was definitely times I was following the wrong people, and I got into situations that could have really changed my future, until I realized I had to cling on to people. I had to more so, pour into the relationships that were more supportive and have positive values. All right. So Libra Sun, Libra Rising, that's just something you need to understand. But with the full moon in the 11th house opposing Sun and Saturn, the fifth house, this is a time for you to, you're understanding, once again, understanding how you can bring your awareness or creativity into the 11th house. So if you're part of a partnership or a community where you don't feel like your fifth house energies are accepted, changes need to be made around this time. You need to make decisions around this time. You need to be more open into expressing your individuality, right? We know the fifth house is dealing with creative expression, artistic expression. So a lot of my Libra Suns, Libra Risings, you guys are in a space right now where people do want to see what you're creatively invested in. People do want to see, what you have awareness about, you know. So opportunities are going to open up in this 11th house as you progress, the more that you're allowing yourself to detach from the relationships and communities that don't. Okay. So that's what we got going on, Libra Sun, Libra Risings, with the full moon in the 11th house. Okay. Sextiling Mars, full moon in 11th house, sextiling Mars in the ninth, sextiling Mars in the ninth house. Okay, so a lot of my Libra Suns, Libra Risings, you guys are real passionate about gaining knowledge, real passionate, and damn near impulsive when it comes into wanting to explore adventure on new things in your life. Ninth house deal with that long distance travel, new experience, explorational type of energy, spiritually inclined house. So these are things that you've been going through a lot of transformations in your life based off of developing new belief systems, new things that you want to experience, this, that, and the third in your life. You you being way more expressive. You put Mars in a firehouse, this is going to be an expressive period. So, with Mars transiting that ninth house, a lot of you guys are definitely, especially for Libras, because you guys are definitely the ones to feel away when people don't align, that your close friends or your close friends, best friends, siblings, you are definitely the one to feel away when people don't align with the things that you're into. So a lot of you guys are going through situations with that Mars in the ninth house, where things that you are individually being called to deal with in your belief system are not aligning with others, and it's transforming your relationships right now. You cannot hold too much resentment and guilt, and you cannot project neither. You cannot project on others, like, AKA, you're trying to share astrology or spirituality with a close friend. They ain't really into it, this, that, and the third. Even though you feel like them being more aware of this energy or more intentional about learning these things, it would have a huge positive impact on their life, but they're not really receptive towards it like that. Libra, your ass start projecting. It's just cardinal air. So We could be gullible and passive, but we could project like a motherfucker when it comes into other people not aligning with the way we think, and we could start to condemn others for that. And this is the time you're understanding. You just need to let these transformations in your relationships take its place instead of trying to, project onto other people and be like, you know what, that's where you at. That's why you dealing with your relationship issues. That's why you're dealing with these issues in career this and third, because you're not into spirituality this and third, because you're real passionate and excited with this energy dealing with the ninth house, with new knowledge that you're gaining, new experiences that you're gaining, new information you're gaining about career path or whatever it is you're gaining in your life, and you want to relate that, but you cannot hold it against others if they don't relate to it. It's Mars, is your individuality. So right now with the full moon sextiling Mars from the 11th house to the ninth house, it's going to be the 11th house people that like these things. It's the 11th house individual, people you don't know, social media, technology, people out in the external realm, people that you meet through things dealing with your creative attributes in the world, or how you're navigating entrepreneurship or building new business and projects, and what people that attract. It's dumb people that's going to be valuing these things that you had to give off, or the things that you're passionate and intentional about learning, gaining new knowledge about, or your spiritual awareness. You cannot put too much heavy emphasis on that with your third house friends. All right. Got Mars in the ninth house. You've been trying to, that opposition been coming from your third house. Okay. And then we also got the square to Uranus in the eighth. Square to Uranus in the eighth house. So Libra Sun, Libra Risings, a lot of y'all been going through so many transformations, not understanding your deep desires. Uranus in this eighth house, this is a time, this is going to be a chapter of your life where you're understanding how lack of control with your lower desires, with your sexual desires of all sorts, actually block you from healing. Uranus is very powerful in the eighth house. It's extremely powerful in the eighth house. So you cannot use this energy to manipulate the subconscious and emotions of others to manifest what you want to manifest personally, especially if it's dealing with your desires, aka saying and doing what you want in your relationships, charming people up, articulating yourself in certain ways, projecting certain energies in order to gain control of somebody else's subconscious. Because not only are you have the ability to do that, you've been manifesting situations where people are doing that to you as well. So you've been losing some. You might have been in situations where universe has been trying to test your ability to control these lower energies in some type of shape or form through vessels of others. People playing on your temptations, and you staying content in certain toxic situations, in certain relationships, friends with benefit relationships that don't really support, you dealing with, healing the subconscious, or moving into your potential of into your higher self. You're dealing with this, aka you dealing with this chick that you're highly sexually attracted to, whatever. For all my Libra rising fellas out there, you dealing with this chick that you really attracted to, and it's a sexual relationship, and it gets to a point where she's demanding it now. You're trying to work on this and the third, and you're noticing how much time you're deviating, from things that your passions and goals, eighth house, that you want to build, individual passions, this and the third, Uranus, and how you feeling conformed to have to uphold this friend with benefit relationship that ain't really adding nothing into your life, how you don't have no control of that. So you guys are these are things that you need to understand with this square to Uranus. And where is it coming from the 11th house? So this is also showing that you're being challenged right now to take your individuality into the 11th house and not cling it on to third house relationships so much, to personal relationships so much. People in the 11th house are acceptive of the things that's different about you, especially when it comes into your belief system, education, experience, wisdom that you have with something. All right. So that's my Libra Sun, Libra risings. All right. Scorpio Sun, Scorpio risings. Scorpio Sun, Scorpio risings in the building. All right. We got the full moon transiting that 10th house. We got the full moon transiting the 10th house. So anything dealing with 10th house matters fully illuminated right now. Is fully illuminated right now. And you know that Leo in the 10th house has everything to do with you having to learn how to embrace being the face, dealing with attention, being seen when it comes into what you're branding and building in the 10th house. In some type of shape or form, you're going to come across this path in your life when it comes into things that you have career aspirations for, Scorpio Sun, Scorpio rising, and you have to embrace the attention and being seen for that shit. It may be other people that you want to use as the face, and they're not going to want to be in that position. And it's going to keep coming back to you having to be the face. You want to be the ghostwriter for somebody. You don't really want to be seen as a rapper, this, that, and the third. But the people that you keep trying to get to rap the lyrics and the songs that you're creating and the beats that you're producing, they're not doing it the way that you see the potential. They're not coming close to it. If anything, it's hard working with them, you know. And now you have to embrace being the face for it. You have to embrace being fuck it. I ain't gonna ghostwrite. I'm gonna actually do this rap thing and be seen for it. And I'm gonna embrace all transformations that come with me branding myself in some type of shape or form in the 10th house. So having the full moon in the 10th house, these are some of the themes and things in your life that you may be real sensitive towards and gaining an understanding about at the same time. We do know that moon deals with reacting though. So with the moon in the 10th house, you're going to be developing a lot of new perspectives on how to react to these things, how to react to putting yourself in a certain space for your 10th house aspirations or these new ways of being seen in the world, how they can blossom, and how you can gradually take your time with becoming the face or gaining attention for these things and remaining proactive in this house. Your 10th house is ruled by the sun. So it ain't no running from it, Scorpio sun's risings in this lifetime. It's part of your personal life path. It's part of your personal life path. All right. And it's opposing the sun and Saturn in the fourth house. So I could definitely see a lot of energies coming from the home environment and within you, not just the home environment, within you, within your heart. That's actually, uh, you know, the sun is here bringing an awareness to this house, but you've been having Saturn transit this house, which Saturn doesn't like to be in this house. So you can be noticing around this time how you have internal blockages, whether they're insecurities, whether it's the way you were raised, not having a certain support system in some type of shape or form for dealing with creative aspirations. Right now, you're seeing what's pent up in that fourth house, right, in your subconscious, that's actually holding you back from being reactive towards these 10th house aspirations in some type of shape or form. That's a huge influence of what you're dealing with during Aquarius season. So you're definitely doing a lot of shadow work around this time. You always doing some motherfucking you're always doing some shadow work, Aquarius, Scorpio sun's rising, especially with it being Aquarius season, you being a fixed placement. All right. But you have to be able to see how these 10th house insecurities, how the sun is right now. The sun is just giving all awareness towards positive and negative things within you. Okay. All positive and negative things within the household, within the home environment, and how it plays a factor in, being an opposition towards 10th house things. And that's what the full moon is here to help you do in the 10th house. How have I been neglecting things that I want to be seen for, or a certain the potential I see myself, dealing with in the world based off of what I'm experiencing within myself, within what I'm experiencing within the subconscious, or things within my upbringing in my household. And throughout the rest of Aquarius season, you'll continue to build more understanding of these things. Also, once again, the sun and Saturn in this house, you're you're becoming more realistic about how to deal with your emotions. You're becoming more realistic and practical, about how to deal with your subconscious. So let's say you understand based off the relationship with your parents and your family home environment that you create self-sabotaging ways in your relationships. Right now you're understanding like, damn, that's the reason why I may run from intimacy. This is the reason why I may be real I may have this type of negative energy in relationships. I may have these trust issues. 'Cause I had trust issues with my motherfucking parents. You know, the sun is helping you to realize these things in the fourth house. But remember, Saturn been here, so now you're getting realistic about it. You're doing the sun is lighting up things Saturn been trying to show you in the 10th house, aka the tangible, practical things to deal with in this house, aka going to therapy. You know, meditation, things that you could participate with to help release these fourth house energies, being proactive, sun proactive. All right. So that's what's going on with the full moon activity for my Scorpio suns right now. Is also a full moon in the 10th house sextiling Mars in the 8th. So Scorpio sun, Scorpio risings, you you guys are definitely this energy. I know it's Aquarius season, which is the detached energy, but this season is throwing you into the center stage in this right now with this alignment. We already know that Leo energy, that ain't your energy. You don't like being center stage all the time, especially if it's unexpected, unprepared. You have a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. You invite a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising to your party, this, that, and the third, and then you just tell them they may be an artist, they may be a teacher, this, that, and the third. But as soon as they get to your party, they don't know nobody at your party but you. And while you introducing your Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising a friend to your siblings, to your friends, to your family. You like, yeah, my friend teaches this and the third. Matter of fact, my mom's a Leo. Tell her about herself. She a Leo sun, Gemini moon. Tell her about herself. Like, don't do that to a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rise. Like, I just got here. I don't even know these people. You just throwing me center stage like that. Everybody looking at me. Motherfuckers start reading the energies wrong. Like, okay, you a just Gemini moon. Okay, that's fixed. That's fixed air. You start saying shit wrong. Okay, but this is what this transit is doing to you right now, because you got Mars in the eighth house right now, Scorpio sun rising. So a lot of you guys are in the dark because this is your ruler, and your ruler's home, and your ruler been home for a while. So since last year, a lot of you guys really probably just been really hustling, grinding, stacking, not really trying to be in the way, trying to be in the scene, working on your passions, your creative goals, this and the third. Probably got out of a relationship, experienced some relationship transformations, coming into Mars, going into Gemini, or in your eighth house, or while Mars was in the eighth house. So now you feel like you just need to be in solitude, in your own darkness, in your own space. And Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising love to be in their own darkness. The key here is making sure you don't stay in the darkness for too long, to the point you miss them gaps and opportunities to express things that you're working on in the eighth house. All right. So when you feel strong inclinations, strong influences, like, okay, it's time to express here, or it's time to, give some light to things here. Follow that intuition, because you're gonna catch it. You're gonna catch it. But once again, you're very comfortable in eighth house right now. So if you guys are dealing with your healing processes, you guys are understanding things about your traumas, and you're understanding, a lot of you guys are Mars in the eighth house. You're swimming through a lot of things with your traumas and insecurities, but you're powerful here. Your rulers in this house. So you guys are going through a personal evolution right now. You guys are understanding how past relationship transformations in the home environment, especially because Mars is sextiling, all water houses, right? Sextiling the 12th house, sextiling trining the eighth house, excuse me, is trining the water houses. So right now you're in a state where you're really picking up on a lot of things that's buried in the subconscious, and how you can use that to transmute and encourage you to deal with your personal aspirations and goals, how you can persevere through them things. So shout out to my Scorpio sun, Scorpio risings. Stay in your zone. I know I feel the concentration energy from a lot of you guys. And I feel y'all trying to stay concentrated while dealing with resistance, peer pressure, people trying to get y'all to pop out and go against your schedule and routine. Stay in your zone, Scorpio sun, Scorpio risings. All right. But this full moon in the 10th house, hitting Mars in the eighth house, it is pulling you to take some things that you're learning in the eighth house, whether it's on how to apply yourself with the light, whether it's actual passions and goals, or maybe some occult like information, knowledge, and influences that you have in this house, and kind of attach it to your 10th house around this time, or build an understanding on how to attach it to your 10th house. All right. Um, excuse me. Yeah. Mars. I said Uranus. Sorry, guys. Mars, sextile, 10th, full moon in the 10th house, sextile Mars in the eighth. And then we got the square to Uranus in the seventh house. We got the square to Uranus in the seventh house. So the full moon in the 10th house, squaring your Taurus in the seventh house. You guys are understanding how your relationship values play a part towards things that you want to build in your life right now. All right. Uranus in the seventh house. Lord knows what type of relationship transformations or intense situations you may have manifested in your seventh house these past couple of years. Lord knows. May have got your heart really broken for the first time in the past couple of years. You may have initiated some form of detachment, or your partner may have initiated some form of detachment, may have dealt with some strong forms of manipulation. From It may have been a close friend that you were doing business with. You've been friends, tight friends with somebody your whole life. Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. You've been tight friends with somebody your whole life. And then during this Uranus in the seventh house transit, y'all started to do business with each other. Y'all never did business with each other, right? Y'all did everything. Y'all chilled with girls together. Y'all did everything in their mother together. Y'all partied together, this, that, and the third. But until y'all started doing business, you realize how they either tried to take advantage of you, they was unfair in some type of shape or form, and this really transformed your relationship. So a lot of y'all may have manifested all different type of transformation, power control issues in the seventh house. So what you're learning right now is to how to take these red flags or this experience dealing with relationship transformations and apply that to relationships that you're dealing with in the 10th house. You're bringing understanding to that. Right now with this alignment, you guys are understanding how the same red flags that you not even red flags, because maybe these situations you experience with Uranus in the seventh house, these were your first time experiencing these things with power and control issues and transformation and taking advantage in that type of way. Even though you're a Scorpio sun rising, so a lot of times that's your life, learning how to read between the lines, understanding other people have hidden agendas, this and the third. You're actually more inclined with these things. So when it happens, you really feel hurt because you like, I'm a Scorpio sun rising. I was supposed to see that shit. I was supposed to see that shit. So you're learning how to take those transformative experiences and understand how to pick out red flags in your 10th house with people that you may be relating with, things in the 10th house, people that may try to, project on you with things that you're trying to do in your 10th house around this time. And full moon in the 10th house squaring Uranus in the seventh. This is you breaking a lot of relationship modes towards the things that you want to aspire to do in your 10th house. Oh, yeah, I dropped my cat. So a lot of y'all are realizing how uh things that you want to do in your 10th house is once again either projection, power and control issues, people, heavily negatively critiquing or whatnot, hating on what you're trying to do in the 10th house. And you got to see that right now. You got to be able to see that right now. All right. So that's what we got going on for my Scorpio Sun, Scorpio risings. Okay. Now, let me hold on. Stop the cam. Stop the cam. Hold on, yeah. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. All right. All righty. All right. Now, um, okay, Sagittarius, my Saggies. Shout out to all my uplifting Saggies out there, suns and risings. Full moon in the ninth. Full moon all up in your home house, right? In the ninth house. So you guys are just in a super state of feeling the need to really spread your wings, explore new things, experience new things. You're definitely picking up on how you may be dealing with all forms of any, whether it's a person, place, or thing relationship, especially with the sun and Saturn in your second house. Right now, you're seeing how these things are blockages. I said this ninth, excuse me, I said second house, third house. Sagittarius is you're understanding right now how you're how your third house plays blockages, uh, towards things that you want to experience, things that make you feel fulfilled, especially with your belief systems and your forms of spirituality. Okay, for my students out there, you may be invested in trying to, major in something, do this, that, and the third for school, but because of what your parents, because of what your family, how your family, uh, your family traditions or whatnot are structured, it may feel like it doesn't align with these things, and you're catering too much to your third house environment as far as the things you want to expand on in your life with the full moon transit in your ninth house at this time. You're already a free spirited person, Sagittarius sun risings. So you have to be very mindful as to how habits that may have been developed in your third house play a part here. With the sun and Saturn, in your third house, you've been learning to bring more structure into your third house, into some type of shape or form, understanding what friends is to do this with, what friends is to relate that with, what friends I can build with, how my environment, my surroundings, support things that I want to stabilize or build and structure in my life in some type of shape or form. All right. So, uh, but definitely with the sun in your third house, you're realizing a lot of things about your third house. You're realizing a lot of things about your close friends. Maybe some clashes of mindsets that you're realizing with the sun in the third house. Okay, so around this time, you have to be able to see that difference, right? You have to hold on. Yeah, okay, um, so yeah, with the full moon in the ninth house, everything dealing with education, your belief systems, and things you want to explore and experience, fully illuminated. Whether it's places you want to travel, understanding how you can manifest, situations and opportunities to do that. You know, uh, there's definitely, but I definitely see you are one of the main people right now, Sagittarius sun risings, and how your aspirations or things dealing with your belief system is definitely, you feel the resistance between people that your familiar friends, close friends, your environment in some type of shape or form around this time. So you have to be able to make that distinction and now not, once again, not allow these things to hinder what's going on in the ninth house. You have to be able to use this full moon in the ninth house. It's emphasizing how you need to bring spirituality more in your third house. You need to make the things that you're aware of, that you're gaining awareness about, whether it's tarot, spiritual, any type of spiritual construct, astrology, candle magic, ritual work. I need to make these things more familiar in my third house. I need to turn this into a third house trait. I need to turn this into something that's always in my surroundings, you know, into something I'm always dealing with and relating with in some type of shape or form. Okay. But you guys are definitely going through situations where this season has a lot of, especially around this time, understanding how to break certain molds of things that you may have been attached to in your third house. And as you go through the rest of the Aquarius season, your sun will help you to build that awareness on how to build more of a foundation, especially using spirituality in your third house. Now, this energy, the full moon in the ninth house is sextiling Mars in the seventh. So that's the thing. Not only is you, not only are you guys in a state where there's transformations or there's certain clashes of mindsets going on between your ninth house values and people in your third house, right? Your seventh house is harmonizing with the full moon in the ninth. So you need to embrace these relationship transformations because you don't know what type of new relationships are going to be developed with people in your seventh house with Mars here that are able to relate to your individuality or support the fact that you're an individual. Mars in the seventh house, even though it's debilitated in the seventh house, it can attract that. It can attract certain people that actually support the things that you're individually into, but it may come with the cost of relationships that are trying to keep you comfortable or familiar relationships, right? people that you could just spend time with, talk to all day, but not do nothing productive with in some type of shape or form. They don't really help your passions and goals in any type of shape or form. You gotta, it comes with the cost of these relationships transforming around this time. So understand this right now, Sagittarius sun risings. You embracing your path as to what things you want to learn, experience, and practice. When I say practice, whether it's new things that you're learning from an educational perspective or things dealing with spirituality, how there may be a whole portal, a bunch of portals open up for you in your relationship life, in order to you to build partnerships revolving around these things. Okay. And then it's also squaring Uranus in your sixth house. So full moon in the ninth house, squaring Uranus in the sixth house. More of an emphasis of you working, scheduling, routining, things dealing with your spirituality. This energy screams, how do you have all this knowledge and wisdom about this, that, and the third, but you don't utilize it, you don't work on it, you don't use it to help you build stability? How do you know about money rituals, money magic, and you're not working on that, you're not putting it to the test? You're not I like to say the sixth house has a lot to do with experimenting. Because if the sixth house deals with working, schedule, routine, a lot of the times, if we're working on something, seeing how something works, if we're experimenting, seeing how to build a platform, seeing how to build a business, build the app, navigate career path, it comes with a lot of experimentation energy. So right now, the knowledge and wisdom that you have in the ninth house, it wants to get worked on. It wants to find a way into the sixth house so you can build some stability off of it, so you can shift your reality off of these things. So if you do with the full moon in the ninth house, with you catching influences around this time of things that you want to you feel like you should apply for, courses, any form of education, spiritual practices, spiritual retreats, spiritual environments, any seminars, any environment that provides some type of knowledge for you right now, is wants to find its way into your sixth house to be worked on in some type of shape or form, and it needs to find a way into your third house to become something more familiar. All right. And it comes with the cost of relationships that maybe, and you may be having a lot. Sagittarius sun risings, Gemini in the third house, you attract a lot of enabling ass relationships in your life. So you be having people around you that'll tell you, like, no, you don't gotta stop smoking weed, bro. Or like, no, you don't gotta, like, your job paid good. Like, you have people in your life with Gemini in the third house that will keep your ass comfortable because they just want to be relatable towards whatever you got going on in your personal life in some type of shape or form. Okay. Um, and once again, it's Uranus in the sixth. So you guys are trying to find your individuality within the within career path right now. So a lot of y'all right now have this chapter of your life has dealt with a lot of energies where there's something that you're personally into. There's something that you're personally into, and you feel like you're gonna get a lot of slack, or a lot of deal with a lot of peer pressure, or a lot of critiques, especially six house dealing with critiques, right? You deal with a lot of critiques or opinions from others based off of something that you want to individually do in the sixth house. You got to break that mold right now. You got to break that mold around this time. You know, so that's very important going into this time. The full moon, yep, full moon is in your ninth house. Yep. So I could even see y'all dealing with some friction with y'all spiritual practices in the workplace. AKA, you're a Rasta or something, or they want you to cut your dreadlocks to go to this job. Fuck that. Fuck that. That's an environment that doesn't align with your shit. I was having a conversation with somebody not too long ago, and they were telling me how, their child's father, they don't date now, but around the time that they were dating, when they started getting more into spirituality, building their altar, this, that, and the third, their partner wasn't fucking with that shit, and eventually their relationship transformed. And I didn't want to say it, but like when they repeated it the second time in the conversation, I was like, not to be too invasive, but that may have been a sign that that person wasn't really there for your for the entire, wasn't somebody you're supposed to continue to build with in some type of shape or form. So when you're getting closer to your spirituality, when you feel like you're walking your spiritual path and you're seeing the people that don't align with it, this, that, and the third, you gotta let them relationships transpire, and let them relationships you know do as they please. You got to let them be able to flow and let the results of that energy go. But we ain't neglecting our spirituality here, because we know that's what we're here to experience and how we're here to expand. Period. All right. So that's for my Saggy Sun risings. All right. Where we at? Where we at? Aquarius. Aquarius. Aquarius sun risings. All right. Happy solar return. Happy birthday to all my Aquarius sons out there. All right. Hope you guys are having a great season. Okay. And right now, guys, you got the full moon in your seventh. All right. Full moon in the seventh house. Um, so everything dealing with relationship activity in your life, partnerships and whatnot is fully illuminated. You're sensitive to all these things and you're very intuitive about these things. So you're understanding what type of relationships, what type of people you can connect to, relate to your individuality. You're very individual sign. All right. And especially with the sun and Saturn in the first house, you're understanding your personality on a deeper level. You're understanding how, you've went through certain transformations in your life based off of the differences of the way you think, of who you are in some type of shape or form. This is definitely a time right now with the full moon in your seventh house. With the full moon in your seventh house and the sun and Saturn in your first house, I would not be surprised right now if, especially if you just came off a lot of retrograde. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody came back into your life and you're realizing how, maybe I shouldn't have been so open to that person being back in my life. Maybe I should not have been that open to that person being back in my life. If you're dealing with that influence, that's a huge sign right now. That's a huge sign of maybe how you should fall back from that relationship, or you should moderate that relationship in some type of shape or form. All right. However, the emphasis is on your personal growth, your personal your personal forms of expansion in your life right now, personal aspirations. Okay. And then you guys been experiencing well, let me not say your Saturn return, but um Saturn been home though. So when it comes to understanding how you how you can build more of a reality in your life, or structure your reality some more, excuse me, structure your reality some more based off of your personal aspirations, you understanding what partnerships, people to relate and connect these things. You're having more clarity about these things as the full moon transits the seventh, and just let alone Aquarius season by default. But a full moon transit in the seventh house, it's definitely going to pull out feelings and emotions out of you in your relationships, things that may have been hidden within you. And you're not so much the most expressive person about your feelings and emotions, but feelings and emotions that you do have about people, you may be starting to realize, damn, I do love this person. You may start to realize, damn, I do care about this relationship more than I thought. You may have your partners express things to you. You may have your partners. Full moon in seventh house is always prone for having somebody that you're dealing with on an intimate level start to express to you how they feel or think about your partnership in some type of shape or form. So you have to be a little receptive towards that, not run from that emotion or something. They're not emotionally dumping on you. They just want to make sure that they're in an environment with you where they can express these things. All right. So try not to give them too much slack for that, and try your best to be receptive towards that. Okay. But that seventh and first house right there, this is where we need to find the balance at this time. Aquarius sun risings, you're going through a personal evolution, right? You're going through a personal evolution. You're understanding what practical, realistic actions to take, or what things to detach from in order for your personal life, personal aspirations to grow right now. The sun is forcing you to, this is a selfish time. All right. And I use that word specifically. The sun transiting your first house. Sun is home in the first house. So when the sun is in the first house, you can afford to put things with partnerships or things going on in the external realm on the back burner to get your first house right, to get your personal life right. All right, or more stabilized at this time. So with that being the emphasis, is going to be clear as day, seeing especially around this time, full moon in the seventh house, is going to be clear as day, seeing what partnerships or things out in the external realm that you're connecting to that don't support these things, that you may have to detach from, release energies from. Full moon in the seventh house. Now, the full moon in the seventh house is sextiling Mars in the fifth. Sextiling Mars in the fifth house. All right. So you got Mars in the fifth house, that you're going through a chapter of your life right now where you're learning to be more intentional about how you deal with creative expression, or deal with expression being seen in all different type of shapes and forms. Aquarius sun rising, we know you're not the one to care too much about attention, but Mars in the fifth house is placing you in situations where it's encouraging you to deal with this form of expression, whether it's a creative form of expression, whether it's something that you want to teach, something you want to give awareness about, and how this can uh create, portals for you to connect with others that you relate to in that seventh house. So you're definitely in the space right now. Full moon in Leo, creative energy, in the seventh house, and then where's my I'm feeling a little chat right now. The full moon in the seventh house in a creative sign, Leo, right? And then the Mars in your fifth. You have so much access right now to build tribe, Aquarius sunrise. You have so much access right now to build tribe with people that share your awareness or share your creative interests. So this is a time where that one rapper is going to find that producer or that engineer that they end up making magic with. This is the time where that fashion designer, finds that office or that workspace where they can thrive and do their thing at with people that's in that area that's into the same thing. Like, it's this type of energy. But the more intentional you are around this time, right? The more intentional you are about dealing with your creative expression, creative attributes, or your creative endeavors overall, which Mars, there already should be a head of steam here. Mars been in this house. There already should be a head of steam dealing with your creative expression or new ways of dealing with creativity in some type of shape or form, right? And you've been dealing with frustration if you've been neglecting these things. So this energy is just a confirmation for you to understand, the more you tap into these things, the more it can expand your seventh house in your relationship life. Okay. And then it's squaring full moon in the seventh house, squaring Uranus in the fourth. So Uranus in the fourth, this chapter of your life, you've been going through a lot of transformations and power and control issues, either with family, parents, um, you know, some family members may be too heavily dependent on you, and it may have been clogging up your ability to deal with solitude, to deal with, your own inner thoughts, feelings, and emotions, to be comfortable in your own private space. So Uranus is putting you in a state where your individuality has to be established some more in this chapter of your life, where your family members or loved ones to understand that there needs to be some respect. There needs to be some type of respect for the things that I got going on individually on top of my own private space. Or you need to understand how your individual intentions, Uranus, how your individuality is actually clashing my personal space in some type of shape or form. So with the full moon in the seventh house squaring Uranus in the fourth house, this is the energy that helps you to understand how power control issues, dealing with the home environment or your private space or your ability to build a comfort zone is taking a toll on your relationship life, right? And this may come with you having to be a little bit more communicative and relatable, especially if you're in a relationship right now. Around this time, full moon in the seventh house, you may feel like you need to express these things to have. We know we know space is the magic word with y'all in relationships. We know space is the magic word. So with Uranus in the fourth house, feeling like you need your individuality to thrive around this time is you building more of a relationship with your comfort zone and solitude. And that may have to be, you may have to find graceful ways in articulating and communicating and expressing that in your relationships instead of jumping into extreme energies. Aquarius, Aquarius sun risings, you are an extreme sign. When I say extreme, either doing things impulsively or suppressing things so much to the point when you do express it, it's too much. You could have gradually expressed these things when you first caught the feeling and emotion. All right. But sometimes you look at your feelings and emotions or even your inner thoughts as something that is not realistic or is not practical to deal with in that moment for whatever reason. But key word, not practical, not realistic, when it is something that's practical or realistic to be dealing with, because it creates more of a healthier foundation in your relationships. So this is what I need y'all to understand. So those are my Aquarius suns risings. Pisces sun risings. Did I skip Capricorn? I feel like I didn't do Capricorn sun rising. I feel like I skipped it. Moon in the eighth house. Opposite Sun and Saturn in the second house, sextile Mars in the sixth, squaring Uranus in the fifth. I didn't do Capricorn sun rising. All right. Capricorn sun risings. Capricorn sun risings. How I miss my own sign. All right. Now, Capricorn sun risings, we got the full moon in the eighth house, right? We got the full moon in the eighth house. So the full moon doesn't everything dealing with your, your deep passions, your deep desires, your subconscious, dealing with, rebirths, transformation. This is what the full moon is highly stimulating around this time. What type of transformation and rebirth you can usher into your life that helps support Sun, Saturn in the second house. You gaining more stability with your value system. You being able to use. See, this is the thing. The second house deals with your values. It deals with your talents, the things that you feel like you're good at, right? The things you feel like you're good at, the things you feel you have to offer to the world, to connect to service to the world, right? In some type of shape or form. But the full moon is transiting your eighth house. So as the sun, and I love me a sun transit I'm not just saying this because I'm a Capricorn rising. If you guys are if we want to look at this from a whole sign perspective, the sun in Saturn is in my second house. But y'all know I'm a Placidus guy. So um with Sun and Saturn, this energy is in my first house. I got Capricorn, Aquarius, and a little bit of Pisces in my first house. So all these Sun and Saturn energies are still in my first house. However, I'm getting ready for that Sun. I love me a sun in the second house transit, because when you have the Sun transiting, you got the Sun transiting the second house, guys. Um, your value, your value is you can't get away from seeing it. It's reminded to you from conversations. It's reminded to you by seeing other people that's doing what you're doing, that you actually do better than, but you're seeing their success. It reminds you of what you possess in all different types of shapes or forms. So you guys are seeing these things on top of Saturn being in your second house, and you past year and a half, you guys having more of a realistic grasp on how to possibly use these things, all right, to build some type of stability and structure in your life. And also what type of people, places, and things of negative value to detach from. So a lot of you Capricorn Suns rising have created turbulent, may have manifested turbulent situations in your life by not detaching from people, places, and things that don't align with your value system, because Saturn don't play that in the second house. Now, with the moon in the eighth house, this alignment is helping to see what insecurities or things that's pent deep down in your subconscious that are playing out as blockages from you getting hands on with these second house values, getting hands on with either expressing and utilizing the things that you have value of. All right. So, with the full moon in the eighth house, full moon is dealing with rebirths, regenerations. Right now, you're in the stage that you can manifest either a new rebirth. You're in a situation right now where you can manifest or initiate some form of change or transformation by making sure not only you're cutting off things that don't add up with your value system, negative values, people, places, and things, habits, substances, or whatnot. But when we get into the uh, you can manifest transformation in your life in that way, but also being able to understand how you may have, whether it was things that would develop in your relationship life, because a lot of transformations and traumas that fall into the seventh house come into the eighth house, or certain traumas and insecurities develop in your fourth house in some type of shape or form with the family home environment. You're seeing how these things are blockages from investing into your value, your true value in some type of shape or form, or also enabling you to connect to negative values around this time. So these are things that are fully illuminated for my Capricorn sun risings. All right. But the moon is very uncomfortable in this eighth house. It is a vulnerable space for the full moon to be in. Okay, for the moon to be in, period, because it has to do all that deep diving in the subconscious, which could be turbulent, which could be a little scary. All right. It could be things that you got to get in touch with that you may have not been in touch with, because that's our eighth house. So we're usually not always in touch with eighth house things. Are we looking at our shadow every hour of the day? Are we thinking about our traumas every hour of the day? No, a lot of the time, we don't want to deal with these things. A lot of the times we flowing through relationships, the external realm, our personal interests and hobbies, and we don't want to deal with the eighth house all the time. Yeah, I don't got nothing to say when it's freaky deaky time. Yeah, y'all dive into that, no problem. We dive into that part of the eighth house any hour of the day. But when it comes into the reflection part of the eighth house, looking at our traumas, insecurities, things that we need to heal, uplift, transmute. Oh yeah, sometimes it takes certain transits for us to start doing that, and this is the transit that you're doing that shit, Capricorn Sun rising. All right. So the more that you're able to initiate detachment in the right places and be intentional about how you're going to utilize this sun transit in the second house to build your value system, pour into your value system, it comes with you having to acknowledge what's buried in this eighth house, which can play out as a blockage, which can be an insecurity, which can be an attachment, which can be a negative desire that you have for something around this time. People, person, place, or thing. All right. Then the full moon is sextiling Mars in the sixth house. This is sixth and eighth house connections are powerful. I mean, sextile houses are powerful, period. But you got the full moon in the eighth house dealing with that regeneration, rebirth aspect. But then Mars is in your sixth house, so a lot of you guys been working your tail off, right? A lot of you guys been working your tail off. You guys been experimenting, structuring, trying new things, new intentions, new passions being developed in the sixth house. If not, if you haven't been experimenting with these things, you've been dealing with frustration. Because once again, Mars deal with our anger and frustration when it don't get to get proactive with its intentions. So with Mars in the sixth house, you guys, a lot of y'all is overwhelming yourself with how hard y'all working. A lot of y'all overwhelming yourself with you know the things that you got going on that you're trying to get stability from, or the new routines in your life that you're trying to manifest and establish based off of your individuality. Also, Mars in the sixth house, it wants to claim some authority here in some type of shape or form. So Mars in the sixth house, it's kind of working to get into a space where it can own or have some authority within the company, the industry, over its business, its brand, in some type of shape or form. So right now, you being more intentional about these energies, you're creating so many opportunities for yourself. You're creating so much opportunities for yourself to transform right now. So whatever you got going on in this sixth house with Mars here, let's get more efficient as possible. Let's make sure we stick to the script with Mars in the sixth house, and we continue to work on things dealing with our personal passions and inspirations. And also Mars in the sixth house, you have to be very intentional about all forms of wellness here, because Mars deals with anger and frustration. And if Mars is picking up on some developing some anger and frustration in sixth house, this could trickle into a lot of things dealing with anxiety, nervous system, and your form of wellness, your mental health being affected and taking a toll by it. But you'll see a decrease, or you won't see these things, period, if Mars is thriving in the sixth house. If you're allowing your passions and your individuality, and you're reaffirming with yourself, re-encouraging yourself to make sure you're working on the things you personally want to work on in the sixth house. And a lot of the time with this alignment, Mars in the sixth house, it builds anger and frustration. If it builds a lot of anger and frustration here, you know if this person you know isn't doing these things. So if the ways that Mars in the sixth house can use bosses, co-workers, supervisors, it can use these people to build that frustration, whether they be way more forceful, aggressive, taking advantage of you in the workplace, for you to be like, nah, I gotta start working on my own individual thing. So right now, that full moon transit in that eighth house is pulling on that Mars in the sixth house. Remember, Mars rules the eighth house too. So that full moon in the eighth house is pulling on Mars in the sixth house to encourage you to continue to have intention on what you want your sixth house to be, so it can help this regeneration, rebirth process. Okay. And then the full moon in the eighth house squaring Uranus in the fifth, squaring Uranus in the fifth. Okay. So we just spoke about the full moon opposing sun in the second house, aka you having to work through certain insecurities, this, that, and the third, in order to understand how to be more attentive towards your true values, and how you're going to connect that to others and to the world, and establish some secure, potentially establish some security and stability of these things. So Uranus is in your fifth house. Right now, Uranus in the fifth house is trying to claim some power off how you deal with creative expression, how you deal with expression in all different type of shapes and forms right now. You're going through a lot of power and control issues, dealing with creative artistic expression. So if you actually are an artist around this time, you have to be real conscious about who you connect with, the intentions you guys share, because this could be a very empowering time how you could utilize certain relationships for you guys to both use each other to build something within this creative space. But at the same time, you have to have discernment here, because you're very prone in this chapter of your life dealing with people trying to take advantage of your creativity, people trying to claim your intellectual property, you signing deals and contracts or whatnot, dealing with partnerships or whatnot with your creativity, and people trying to take the credit for it, this that, and the third. So it needs to be a huge level of discernment in this area. But then again, Uranus is trying to cultivate your original expression here, your original creative artistic expression here. Everything about Uranus deals with uniqueness. So the things that you do that's different from others in the creative space, this is what you're supposed to be embracing in this chapter of your life, whether it's dealing with art, creativity, business, branding. If it's something different, you're gonna Uranus in the fifth house, anything that you're trying to be seen for, express, put in the stage, put in the light, give awareness off to others, or anything dealing with creativity, these are things that most likely Uranus in the fifth house, you're not going to be able to see a reference on how other people are doing it. You're most likely pioneering in this house. So with the full moon in the eighth house squaring the fifth house, the full moon is basically telling you we're going to create more, we're going to have more traumas, more insecurity, more pent up energy in this house if we don't allow that individuality in your fifth house to thrive right now. That's the major lesson with that alignment. All right. So now, Pisces suns, Pisces risings. Okay. Shout out to my beloved Pisces suns, Pisces risings. We got the full moon up in that sixth house. We got the full moon up in that sixth house. So everything dealing with schedule, regiment, routine, wellness, the things, the habits and the people, places, and things that's in your daily, weekly routine and schedule, all of you sensitive to all of this energy. Right now, you guys are definitely in a space when it comes into anything that you're uncomfortable about in the workspace or career path, or how you're navigating career path. You probably dealing with all type of, I don't want to deal with none of this shit, probably frustrated with a lot of that shit, feeling overwhelmed by these things, feeling overwhelmed by priorities and responsibilities, especially because this house is opposite to your archetype. So you're a Pisces sun, Pisces rising. So anything dealing with heavy amounts of responsibility, priorities, sometimes Pisces sun, Pisces rising, you guys got to jump into an extreme energy to start getting with these things. And then eventually you start getting comfortable with it, because you're starting to realize, like, okay, damn. It took me to embrace some sixth house energy to actually start bringing things in my imagination into reality instead of living in there. But either way, the frustration is going to come from either neglecting how the sixth house helps you to build things with your creativity and your imagination, or you neglecting the sixth house and trying to just live in your imagination and getting frustrated with the fact you're not actually bringing that into reality. Those are the two ways that the sixth house builds frustration in the life of a Pisces sun rising, in which is building that frustration, that friction, in order for you to empower yourself utilizing your natural creative attributes, your natural, intuitive attributes here. So with the full moon in the sixth house, this is the understanding that you guys are gaining right now. What things you're uncomfortable about with dealing with priorities, responsibilities in the sixth house, what responsibilities you don't want no more, because you rather have the responsibility of working on something with your creativity. You rather have the responsibility of bringing refining stability in your life by dealing with something in your imagination in some type of shape or form. I definitely, this energy, I just intuitively picked up that a lot of you Pisces suns risings, you got way too much knowledge about things dealing with spirituality, and you use them when you want to. You use them when you want to. Spirituality is convenient to you when you want to, because you guys are naturally spiritual beings, you know, but you can't take your gifts for granted. All right. So this energy is also showing, let's get more hands-on. Let's make the sixth house is a repetitive house, right? It rules the workplace. Workplace is somewhere we go every day. It rules what we're working on, rules our routine and regimen. This is weekly. This is day by day. So this energy is also emphasizing y'all to make sure y'all keep y'all creative spiritual gifts in y'all routine. Stop neglecting that. Stop doing it when you want to. Stop doing your moon magic when you want to. in your ritual work when it's convenient. Excuse me, not more so when you want to, when it's just convenient. Let's make sure we keep this in our routine, right? Make sure we keep this within our schedule. And you guys got Pisces and Pisces rising, got the sun and Saturn in your 12th, got the sun transit in your 12th. So energy is screaming once again. How do I utilize this sixth house energy? How have I been neglecting my sixth house? Because all you're seeing right now is the sun in the 12th house. So it may be a state of isolation, but that state of isolation that you're clinging on to is really helping you to be more in tune with your inner thoughts, feelings, emotions, and your imagination some more. But it comes with the same influence of that full moon in the sixth house, trying to pull that into the sixth house. Are you neglecting how your sixth house is here to help the 12th house come into fruition? So your creativity, the knowledge and wisdom that you have, the things that you've experienced in your life, the understanding that you have about your own subconscious and how to heal yourself and heal others potentially. All these things want to be worked on right now. All these things want to get into your sixth house. And we're gonna be dealing with some frustrations, especially going on this upcoming week, if we're not making a decision to implement them things. Okay. And this is definitely a time to pay attention to your wellness right now on all levels. Go get that checkup. Go see the dentist. You know, got that little rash developing. Go do something about that rash. Pisces sun, Pisces rising. Go do something about that. All right. Okay. Now, the full moon is also in the sixth house, sextiling Mars in the fourth. So yes, you got the full moon in the sixth house, got Mars in the fourth house. Um, I could definitely see you guys dealing with more of an isolated energy. Once again, the isolation is to create an environment to help you hone in on your inner thoughts, feelings, emotions, your dreams, aspirations, and your passions, Mars, your intentions. Now, Mars transit in the fourth house, I definitely by default with this transit here, I definitely see you guys especially since mid last year, dealing with some power and control issues in a home environment. That may have been something that you had it's trining your 12th. So a lot of you guys actually may have had extreme situations having to either express things or initiate some type of transformation in your life in order to express to loved ones, family members, or people or people within your home environment, you know, that may project on things that dealing with your spirituality, your creative expression. But y'all not have it. It's full moon in the 12th, full moon in the sixth house, sextile and Mars in the fourth house. So y'all not gonna hear none of that right now. Y'all are actually very encouraged for things in your fourth house to change because you're choosing to work somewhere else. Because you're choosing to work on something else. Because you're choosing to major on this in school for your career path, this and the third. And you're in a space right now with you being more intentional and more hands-on, more proactive with your wellness in your sixth house, your regimen and schedule. This is actually what's going to help to bring more stability, emotional, mental stability right now to your fourth house. Things may be a little intense in your fourth house right now, but this is a sign of you utilizing your sixth house to help bring solutions and resolve towards your emotional mental stability right now. So this is why a lot of you guys around this time are picking up the vibe of like, damn, I need to go to yoga, I need to go on this diet, I need a fast detox, I need to do this, that, and the third, because it's gonna help me feel more goddamn sane, more whole, more stable inside. Yes, you are not picking up on them vibes for no reason. Let's get active in that. That sixth house calling your name in many different ways right now. Pisces sun, Pisces rising. All right. Take it one day at a time with that house. Cause I know you don't like to be in that house for too long. And then we also have the full moon in the sixth house squaring Uranus in the third. So this chapter of your life, a lot of my Pisces suns risings, you guys been going through so many transformations with close friends, siblings, your local environment, you've been possibly dealing with intense forms of peer pressure, opinions and critiques from others, you had to, because the third house squares the 12th house. So a lot of you guys dealing with your creative personal aspirations or whatnot, are dealing with things with your beliefs and some spirituality. Your third house has been somewhat of a distraction in that area, you know. But Uranus transit in your third house, this is you finding your individuality in your chapter of the life through navigating these power and control issues in your third house. Whether you moved recently, whether once again, close relationships that you've been familiar with all your life, now that you're getting older or whatnot, or now that you've been getting more so into, let's say you've been getting into spirituality more so recently, you're seeing how it's affecting the relationships that are familiar to you. You got to embrace this. You got to embrace these transformations. This is helping your spiritual development. Is going to create opportunities once again to find more tribe, more of your soulmates here. Okay, but the full moon is in the sixth, so you're also understanding how peer pressures, heavy opinions, this, that, and the third, and these power and control issues in the third house are actually playing out as challenges for your sixth house energy. So it may be some important decisions you have to make from falling back from these relationships in some type of shape or form to support you being able to have the time and the mental capacity to deal with the desired regiment, routine, schedule, or the things, projects, things that you want to work into your life, aka the things you're trying to bring from the 12th house into your sixth house, or how you're trying to take them things to another level. All right, that's what we got going on with my Pisces Sun, Pisces risings. Okay, Aries Suns, Aries rising. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last four signs. Aries Suns, Aries risings. All right. I know y'all probably feeling a little way. Like, come on, bro. I thought you were gonna start with our ass first. Well, this is not a live stream. This is a recorded video, so y'all was able to get right to it. Y'all was able to get right to it. Everybody was able to get right to it. But I think my last live stream I started with Pisces and whatnot. I don't think y'all was feeling that. But Aries Sun, Aries rising. My determined, passionate Aries Suns, Aries risings. Full moon transiting the fifth house. We got the full moon transit in the fifth house, and Aries with you Aries Suns, Aries rising. You guys are very expressive individuals, but you are more introverted than the other fire signs, than Leos and Sagittarius is, because you got Mars energy. So Mars is intentional. So you guys are always cooking up something inside internally. You guys are always, dealing with internal stimulations about things, and not maybe so open to be seen or expressive about it, you know, in which like Leo Sagittarius may be, real quick to be outward and seen about these things. Not saying Aries can't be as an expressive. That don't get it twisted now. I ain't saying y'all isn't as expressive as they as. You could be the most intense expression out of those signs, but because Mars is there, you guys can cling on to being more introverted and understanding of your internal functions more than the other signs. But with the moon in the fifth house, the full moon in the fifth house, everything dealing with creative expression, artistic expression, the inner child, these things are fully illuminated right now. So you're seeing, you're developing new understandings on how to pour into these things. But the thing is, the sun is in your 11th Aries Sun, Aries risings. The sun is in your 11th sextile in the ascendant right now. All right. So I said this in the beginning of Aquarius season. Right now, Aries Sun, Aries risings, there's too much potential in your 11th house. I wouldn't be surprised up until this full moon time if you guys already manifested a new form of community, partnership, friendship, resource, a networking opportunity in the 11th house already. Especially if you're dealing with any form of technology, communication, forms of social media right now. Oh man, I'll be surprised if you guys are not, leveling up, or building new, seeing some form of progress right now with how the 11th house, people that you don't know in some type of shape or form, willing to support things with your personal aspirations, or just gaining new advice, resources, and guidance from people in the 11th house with things that you personally want to do. But now the full moon is in the fifth house, so it's a time for you to see how you may have neglected anything in your fifth house, or how your inner child is neglected in different ways. With the full moon in the fifth house, gonna make sure you understand how the inner child may have been neglected. Things that you like to do for fun, or things that make you feel lively and feel fulfilled, how you don't be doing these things as much, and how there's actually communities, people, spaces and places in the 11th house for you to relate these things and connect these things to others in some type of shape or form. Aries Sun, Aries rising. So I need y'all to be able to, you know intuitively, y'all are intuitively picking up on it. I need y'all to be able to really lock in on that vision of seeing how something that you possess has all the potential to blossom. The more you are intentional about bringing that out into the 11th house and being seen for it. Fifth house energy is dealing with being seen. All right. But the fifth house full moon we're dealing with is a detaching release period. So anything dealing with having too much goddamn fun, Aries, Suns, Aries, rising, you do have to regulate that, possibly discipline yourself in some type of shape or form. So, you're able to navigate 11th house relationships, with more clarity. Okay. Now, the full moon in that fifth house is sextiling, but nonetheless, you guys are in a highly creative space right now. And you guys may be developing a whole bunch of new awarenesses about things dealing with spiritualities, especially astrology right now. All right. So don't front and underestimate none of that right now. And don't be reluctant to connect it to the world or others in any type of shape or form. You guys are in a space where you tell one person about something you creatively invested to. They got a cousin, friend, contact, resource, community to connect you right to right now. The 11th house, that Aquarius energy deals with like being the plug. A lot of Aquariuses are the plugs. They know where you connect to Aquarius or some type of shape or form. They may have a lot of guidance on how you can take whatever that is, creative attribute, brand awareness, that product, and where you can connect it for it to thrive. So you want to be as pretty relatable right now, which I know relatability ain't really your word, but when you have the inclination, the calling to do these things, embrace it, and you don't know what type of opportunities you can open up right now because there's so much potential there. All right. Now, full moon in the fifth house, sextiling Mars in the third house. Okay, so the third house is a place where your rulers here been here for the longest. So you guys, once again, just been dealing with so many relationship transformations with siblings, close friends. All right, my older brother is a double Aries. While Mars was in Gemini, there was a good time we wasn't talking for a little bit, even though we resolved that. Even though I'm a Libra, we be going through that from time to time. So we come back and love on each other really hard, and then we go through our intense fights at times. Be like, I ain't talking to your ass for a month or two, and then we just come back like nothing never happened. So Aries suns, Aries rises. Wouldn't be surprised if you manifested like situations like that. But with the ruler being in that third house, definitely a lot of transformations taking place in your familiar surroundings, seeing where your individuality is comfortable at and accepted within your familiar surroundings and with familiar friends as well. Um, a lot of you Aries risings keep small circles. You keep very small circles. You don't really have you may know a lot of people, but you guys are you guys are definitely not the one to just be out and about with everybody all the time. The most extroverted Aries ain't doing all of that. Y'all be having to recharge. Mars got to recharge. So however, with the full moon in the fifth house harmonizing with Mars in that third house, the third house and the 11th house is like where the money is at. Aries suns, Aries rising. This is what I'm saying. Relatability is the key word for y'all. Y'all got to make sure you're not reluctant connecting things to others, communicating how you feel and think about others, relating your aspirations to others right now. Your sibling, your friend may know somebody, or your 11th house associate may know somebody. These people can be the plugs. And I know I was saying a lot of this going into Aquarius season. So if you're building any situation where you see the potential, with this first half of Aquarius season or whatnot, it's important for you to understand this for the second half of Aquarius season. All right. Um, full moon in the fifth house, so much people that want to see that creativity, they want you to relate it, they want you to connect it so they could possibly pour into it or connect it to others in some type of shape or form. So we got that going on. And then we got the square to Uranus in the second house. Full moon squaring Uranus in the second house. All right. So with the full moon squaring Uranus in the second house from the fifth to the second, we know second house is dealing with stability, structure. Is the earth house though, right? To deal with time, patience. And then we got the full moon coming out your fifth house. So right now, you're seeing how, Uranus transiting your second house. You guys are in a chapter of life right now where you're finding your individuality with your value system. Seeing what things that are different about you that you should be. Uranus is trying to show you what things that are different about you that you should be valuing within yourself, and helping you to encourage that other people in the world may be be a support system for these things, and also the fact that you may be a huge influence with these things in this house as well. Uranus deal with a lot of influential energy because it's unique and original. So Uranus can be extremely influential on others. Hence, Aquarius placements are extremely influential, right? Because they rather think they do things in the original way. They don't like doing things how other people do it. So when they come out with something new, now they trendsetters. But when it comes into the square to Uranus in the second house, I see this energy putting y'all in a space where right now, just like I'm saying, even though you're in a real creative space and your air houses are truly you know, supporting and pulling on you to take your creative energies out into this house, on top of you manifesting opportunities for your inner child to thrive through your relationships and places out in the external realm. Um, this energy is also showing that you guys may slightly be dealing with some friction or some issues, uh or power and control issues dealing with your creative expression, whether it's insecurities, whether it's, like I said, power and control issues, people projecting on your creative expression or things dealing with your creative endeavors. And you have to be able to go through the transformations with either certain traditions, cultures that you may be a part of. You may have to go through be in a space right now where the second house deal with your values. You got Uranus here, so you not recognizing how negative people, places, and things that you value, you not recognizing how these things are a distraction and don't support your creative energies, can create transformation that you don't want right now, that you do not want. So let's make them decisions, making sure you're detaching, from people, places, and things that don't align with your value system or don't support your individuality, to open up more spaces for everything that you're dealing with in a creative way. All right, my Aries suns, Aries risings. Now Taurus suns, Taurus risings. All right, Taurus suns, Taurus risings. Full moon in the fourth. We know the full moon love to be in the fourth house. It's home here, but the full moon don't. The, let alone the moon, the full moon. You guys are one of the most sensitive beings walking the earth right now. So I know y'all earth based. Y'all deal with practicality, reality, but y'all all up in the emotions right now with a full illuminated energy in the fourth house. So you guys are picking up childhood trauma from y'all was 12 right now. Y'all reflecting on all type of things going on in the home environment. Y'all reflecting on the status of your home environment now, what people, places, and things be frustrating you in the home environment. What things you want to bring into your home environment right now. And right now, just remember the sun and Saturn is in your 10th. So Taurus, you're making so much progression within career right now. You're seeing so much potential and gain and attracting resources and opportunities to build up your 10th house and navigate career path. But with the full moon in the fourth house, this is a time for you to understand how things that you may have built up in the subconscious from the home and family environment, insecurities, internal energies, fourth house, or your relationship with building your comfort zone is actually, how all these things play a part in your 10th house, whether it's a distraction or support or is a support system. So with this type of energy, full moon in the fourth house, in layman terms, you guys right now are have to be intentional about how you developing your comfort zone, right? Helps you to have clarity and the mental capacity to deal with everything that you're trying to take action with and structure in the 10th house. But that may be that not the easiest balance to find around this time. With the sun in your 10th house, Saturn in your 10th house, you guys are highly motivated. Saturn been in your 10th house. So I already know a lot of Taurus Suns risings. You guys been crossing a lot of thresholds with things in career, you know, around 2017, 16, 15. You guys may have been in a stagnant space with career. Once Saturn got into in this 10th house, y'all said, fuck this. Y'all started just detaching, restricting from all people, places, and things on top of manifesting support opportunities, resources from others to build up your 10th house. So the sun transiting here is building more of awareness of all these resources and what potential you is working with the 10th house. Is helping you to also persevere. Helping you to understand and have clarity on how you have persevered through certain obstacles in the 10th house already. So now the fourth house We're seeing what obstacles in this area, self-sabotaging ways, ways, things dealing with our insecurities or whatnot, how we need to find a way to release from these things, be at ease with these things, be understanding of these things so they don't continue to create any form of distraction, or is something that now we have more awareness on this insecurity or this trauma I have, or this thing, this person, place, or thing or habit that's in my fourth house, and I know how to regulate this energy some more so I can thrive in my 10th house. So I don't have to keep coming back to my fourth house, keep coming back to my insecurities, keep coming back to the situation with my family and my parents, and this, that, and the third, and having to regulate that while I'm doing what I'm doing in my 10th house. Because I got way too much opportunity and way too much transformation and things progressing in my 10th house. So that's like the main emphasis right here for my Taurus Sun, Taurus risings. Then we also got the sextile from the moon in the fourth house to Mars in the second house. So right now, a lot of you guys are finding your individuality in as to the home environment, regardless of what type of second house traditions and cultures, you know, family traditions or whatnot that may have been bestowed upon you in this lifetime. You're seeing right now how you may have to break some of these molds in order to build more of a comfort zone. All right. You're able to do this in a more encouraging, aspirational way. So you're not feeling that heavy sense of resentment in some type of shape or form. And with with Mars in the second house, you guys got Mars in the second house, and it's trining your 10th house, Saturn in the 10th house, trining your second house. So Taurus, Sun, Taurus, Rising, y'all ain't playing about y'all bread right now. Y'all damn near ain't never playing about that shit. But right now, a lot of y'all is building so much head of steam and seeing so much progression and transformation in these houses. And if you're not seeing quote unquote the progress that you believe you should be seeing, you're definitely in a chapter in your life right now where you're gaining a lot of resources and opportunities to take initiative doing these things. So you have to look in the mirror and see, am I really being in my own way? You know, because if there's a will, there's a way. And if Taurus Suns and Rising understand that right now, the sky is the limit. You know, so much potential into transforming forms of stability and security in your foundation in life and how you deal with reality. So that full moon in the fourth house, you guys being more intentional about your value system. Also, Mars in the second house, making sure around this time that full moon in the fourth house and Mars in the second house, you guys can be really impulsive, trying to detach and disconnect from people, places, and things that don't support your second house values and aspirations. So that's really good. All right. Just be careful not doing it in a too extreme way where it could create harmful like situations, self-harmful situations, or extra turbulent situations, or doing it in a too extreme way. Be careful of that. All right. For the most part, this energy is this is encouraging you to align the value system to build more of a comfort zone. So once again, you could continue to thrive in your earth houses. And then we got the full moon. Then we got the full moon in the fourth house, squaring Uranus in the first. So right now, your personal Uranus is already a strong individual placement. The first house is your first house, is your personal house. So a lot of Taurus Suns, Taurus rises, y'all can be playing out a lot of selfish energies. I did say the first house is the selfish house, but you got a real intense planet dealing with individuality in the first house. So this is great because it helps you be able to really embrace your individuality in all different type of shapes and forms. But you are dealing with power and control issues coming out the home environment. So back to the home environment, dealing with forms of projection, trauma, insecurities, things with your childhood. You're understanding how all of these things may hold you back from the individuality that you're cultivating in your first house in this chapter of life. So you have to make this distinction around this time, and you may have to be good with certain relationships in the home transforming. You may have to be a little good with that at this moment, at least in order for people in the home environment to understand these things, people that you're connected to on a deep level, emotionally connected to, intimately connected to, so they could start to put some respect on your name when it comes into the things you have personal aspirations about, because Uranus ain't going for that in the first house. Uranus is not going for that in the first house. It's not going for any form of relationship, any form of, habits in your upbringing. Uranus really could care less. Uranus in the first house could really care less about what you experience in the home environment, what you experience in the seventh house in your relationship life, what you've been experiencing in the 10th house in career. It could really care less. If you have a personal aspiration and goal, Uranus is doing everything in this power to empower that. And it may come with you having to embrace all type of changes taking place in these houses, all type of relationships taking place in these houses. And the more you embrace that, you'll realize, like, damn, it took me a lot to tell my mom I'm not going back to school, this, that, and the third, because I want to start this business, this, that, and the third. It took me a lot. And we got into this fight, this, that, and the third. But it's been a month now. And even though me and my mom not talking like that, I feel emotionally, mentally stable as hell. Eventually she gonna text me. Eventually we gonna talk this, that, and the third. You know. See, I'm so harsh, guys. Oh man, I'm so harsh. I gotta be so extreme. Talk about the mother, this, that. But it is the fourth house, so we gotta be realistic here. These are really scenarios that may be playing out with y'all. All right. I'm just a harsh ass Capricorn moon rising. So people be mad at me like, I thought you loved me. How you just not gonna talk to me that long? It's like I loved you from afar. All right. I was loving your ass from afar. I was sending you love and healing, but you had to put some respect on what I had going on personally. You don't know how you was adding resistance to this shit. And that's some shit. That's the bag some of you Taurus Suns and Risings may have to jump into. All right. So that's what's going on with my Taurus Suns Risings. Gemini Suns Risings. All right. Gemini Sun's risings, full moon in the third in your home house, full moon in the third house. So Gemini Sun risings, you already know how much of a relatable person you are. You already know how much situations you attract in your life with close friends, siblings, depending on you. And you also, feeling the duty and responsibility to be a good friend, to be there for them, to be a source of information, guidance, right? To be the one to see the details of things that they don't see, right? This is your natural inclination as a Gemini sun, Gemini rising on top of the things that you attract in your life. However, the full moon is transiting your third house. So there may be some things you got to clean up in this area. A lot of negative habits. I like to say this third, eighth house, excuse me, the third house itself can deal with habits because we develop habits in our familiar surroundings, right? With our siblings, friends, neighbors, adolescent stages, elementary, middle school, things going on in our neighborhood. We develop a lot of things in these areas that stick with us for long portions of our life, if not our whole life. So when we look at the full moon transit in your third house, and you got the sun in the ninth, Gemini sun, Gemini rising, you are in the space of breaking out of your third house right now. You need to this sun in the ninth house got you paying attention to everything outside of your third house. New forms of knowledge, new experiences, new things to explore in your life, new educational pursuits, if not actual physical places, you're being brought to actual physical places outside of your third house through mutual friends, through colleagues, co-workers, because it's Aquarius energy. So you cannot be this full moon transit in the third house is helping you to understand how much everything in this house is fully illuminated. So you're seeing the positive, you're seeing the support system, and you're seeing the enablers in your third house. You're seeing the positive habits, the knowledge, the information. Third house dealing with information. You're seeing the information or third habits, traits, skills that you're good at that you picked up in your third house. How that can help bring expansion in your life. Ninth house. All these things are fully illuminated, but you are definitely breaking out of this environment in order to support you experiencing new things in your life. So I'm telling y'all, Gemini Sun, Gemini Risings, if y'all dealing with any situations where there's a heavy form of peer pressure. Your relationship's already been going through all different type of transformations with Mars in the second house, which is a full moon. Mars in the first house, which this full moon in the third house is harmonizing with. So you've already been going through a lot of personal transformations with relationships in your life. You're already looking at relationship activity in your life differently. Period. You already went through a lot of clashes of individuality in your personal life that has been transforming who you surround yourself with, if not being one of the most isolated times of your life, with Mars having this extended period in your first house. And it's not just about Mars being in Gemini. Mars is exalted. I mean, excuse me, Mars is home in the first house. Mars is home in the first house. So nothing says this is a time to be selfish, a time to focus on yourself and allow your relationships to transform the way they transform with you focusing on yourself. Nothing says that transit more than a Mars in the first house transit, especially it being there for extended time. So right now with that full moon transit in the third house, this is important for you to understand right now. It's important for you to understand right now. It may be some things that you need to initiate right now that's different. certain habits that you have, Gemini sun risings in the third house, certain things that you're familiar with, you have to understand, all right, I've been doing this, I've been having this habit, this, that, and the third, whatever the fuck it is, right? Is this progressive towards me bringing some expansion into the ninth house? This energy is also saying, once again, how do I bring what I already possess in the third house to help support my ninth house energies, right? Whether what friend in this house do I have that I can take on this trip with me, this spiritual retreat, or I can go to the seminar with, or I can jump into the form of exploration or this adventure with, whatever it is. You're understanding who these people are in your life that you can relate things dealing with your aspirations. You can relate things dealing with new knowledge and information you've been gaining, especially for spiritual shit. All right. So this is what you Gemini suns risings have to understand around this time, but definitely all different type of new understandings and downloads when it comes into relationships. So whether you're catching a real positive vibe about a relationship in your life or a real negative vibe in it, you need to trust that vibe. You need to be one with your intuition around this house because this house is fully illuminated. You're sensitive to all of these things here. Now, uh, like I said, full moon in the third house, sextiling Mars in the first house. So, with all the things I just said about Mars being in your first house for a while, your full moon is lighting that up. Your full moon is making you sensitive towards these things. So this is definitely a time where I see you guys building a lot of understanding, a lot of understanding about you guys are building a lot of understanding about why these relationships had to transform. And the full moon is helping you to be good with that. you know Understanding, awareness. The moon provides understanding, the sun provides awareness. So you having understanding, it helps you to be more whole, right? Feel more stable, not have any guilt, not feel any resentment in this area in any type of shape or form. All right. And you know, with the full moon sextiling Mars, it makes us, it could be a little impulsive right now. So be careful on how you may express yourself or make decisions, either detaching or expressing certain things to close friends, siblings, or any form of relationship in your life based off of any form of restriction that you may feel in your first house or resentment or guilt you have in the first house. That may what you need to be released. Full moon dealing with releasing. So these are the things that you may need to be releasing right now, and you may be able to do it because it's a sextile. You may be able to do it in a harmonious way, right? So instead of having pent up aggression, your ass been impulsive and aggressive as hell lately. Mars in the first house, but with the full moon in the third house, you're able to analyze these things in a more subtle way, whatnot, you know, and then be able to connect how you feel to these people in a more harmonious way instead of it being in a projection way, right? Instead of it being in a more angered way in some type of shape or form. Gemini sun, Gemini rising, just like how I was saying the Libra, you are one of the signs, even though you kind of, Gemini sun, Gemini rising, I kind of move on better than Libras. Libras y'all both can ghost, y'all both ghost, but the nature of y'all ghosting, Gemini, y'all will actually be able to entertain something else way better. Libra will is more of a rebound, get a rebound, and kind of still be hung up on that connection type of energy. Gemini, y'all asses really be on the go. Yeah, really be on the go. So, uh, with the sextile to Mars in the first house, you know, this is the time right now with the full moon in the third. Y'all are definitely in a space where things that y'all are invested in creatively right now, and all type of aspirations, and how y'all trying to expand on that. Sun in the ninth house, y'all are actually able to initiate that and create more opportunities with them things by how intentional you are with things in your personal life. But like I was saying, with the whole moving on situation, y'all just have to make sure that you have to make sure that you're not taking resentment from this area, right? You're not taking too much resentment or guilt into the rest of this phase in some type of shape or form. Y'all could be more at ease with these energies and not, you know, project in any type of shape or form with people that didn't align with a lot of the things that you got going on, you're cultivating in your first house. All right. So that's what we got going on, my Gemini. Excuse me. And squaring Uranus, full moon in the third house, squaring Uranus in the 12th. So this is what I'm saying. This is a lot. Like, it's just crazy how everything be divinely connected, because you guys got Uranus in the 12th. So it's like your belief system going through a heavy transformation. Your understanding of how to utilize spirituality and your creativity is going through a heavy transformation. But these things are clashing with your third. These things are clashing with your relationship. So I could definitely see last year leading into now how much your spiritual development has gained some resistance in different type of ways, and how your personal aspirations have gained resistance in some different type of shape or form. But you are a Gemini sun rising. You are always attracting people in your life, people giving you information in different type of ways, guidance in different type of ways, on top of you being the messenger your damn self. All right. A lot of your life path deals with you having to be the messenger, but learning how to be the messenger with discernment, not draining yourself, giving people that don't really want your form of knowledge, wisdom, and experience here, and being more receptive towards the people who you do connect your true thoughts or experience about certain things in this area. So with the Uranus in the 12th house, once again, going through a lot of, you're finding your individuality right now through things dealing with your belief system and your creative attributes, and how you pour into things dealing with your imagination here, and how you stabilize it, because it's Taurus here. So Uranus in the 12th house, I ain't gonna lie, Gemini sun's rising, Uranus in Taurus in the 12th house. This chapter of y'all lives, it's been a lot of turbulent situations taking place if y'all haven't been able to exercise more healthier values, especially your spiritual values, aligning with your higher self. You running away from that has creative turbulence in your life. And it may be these actual third house relationships or enabling like relationships that are actually the ones causing this shit. Okay. So that's important for you to understand, making sure you're aware of how the all these energies you're sensitive towards, with close friends, siblings, relationships, your local environment, I want to say personal relationships too, because even though the full moon is in your third house, you are a Gemini, which deals with third house energy. How do all these relationships in my close environment play out as a restriction or distraction towards me continuing to cultivate my individuality through my creative attributes, my spiritual development, connecting to my higher self, manifesting things from my imagination and my spirit, everything dealing with my spiritual development overall. All right, so those are my Gemmies. And last but not least, my Cancer Suns risings. All right, last but never least, my Cancer Suns, Cancer risings. All right, Cancer Sun. I know a lot of my Cancer placements, y'all been going. Yeah, I know y'all been I understand the energies y'all been dealing with recently. When we get into that winter solstice type of vibe, and it starts off with Capricorn season, and we're dealing with all this Saturn energy, Cancer placement by default. You go through a lot of shifts around this time. Now listen, when it comes into my Cancer Sun, Cancer risings, all right, first of all, full moon is in the second house. Full moon is in the second house. So everything dealing with your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, positive and negative values in your life, people, places, and things, and your ability to gain security and stability, heavily stimulated, heavily illuminated at this time. So it's easy around this time, Cancer Sun risings, to it's easy for a lot of you guys to feel resentment or personal guilt, because you feel like full moon in the second house. So you're looking at how you may not have, pushed the things that you have value of, you, or the things that you value. You have not utilized these things, right? Creative attributes, things that you're good at. It's easy for the full moon to get in the second house and feel that. But then again, the full moon is exalted in the second house. So it also inspires you and encourages you, not to hold on to the resentment, and get going with utilizing these things and responding to these things. A lot of Cancer Sun, Cancer risings, a lot of y'all right now around this time with this full moon, if you're in environments, relationships where you're not valued, y'all are definitely gonna reach a threshold around this time, if not coming into this transit, or going into the rest of Aquarius season, where y'all not having it. You're not having it because the full moon is helping you to understand the value that you do have and how to work on your value too. You know how to work on your value too. You know, uh, a lot of us innately we all have different gifts and different forms of value to bring to the world. But then again, some of these things need to be carved and cultivated and sharpened. And we cannot just be riding our high horse thinking that we have some type of, magical talent, this, that, and the third that doesn't need some form of building and structuring in some type of shape or form, or just thinking that, we're perfect, bringing certain things into the world. So the full moon in the second house is not just helping you to understand the value you have to bring into the world, is helping you to understand how to go about cultivating your value some more. What people, places, and things, environments don't support your value or play out as a restriction for these things not to grow, and how you may neglect these things. All right, how there may be some insecurities or things within you that are, playing out as blockages from you utilizing these things in some type of shape or form. But then you got the sun and Saturn in your ninth. Excuse me, sun and Saturn in your eighth house. All right, Cancer Sun rising. So I definitely see y'all going through a lot of them transformations internally. Okay. Now you're always dealing with internal energies, but we know that sun again in the eighth house, and it starts putting the flashlight and highlighting everything dealing with the deep subconscious, everything dealing with our inner motives, and that especially inner motives, deep passions that have stayed in the eighth house too long. We haven't started pouring into them, or we're just feeling heavy on them. We haven't started expressing them or connecting them to the world in some type of shape or form. So with the sun transiting this house, your 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 awareness is all on rebirth energy. That's what I'm saying. Cancer, sun, Cancer rising. You're going through a lot of shifts right now. It may be a little stagnant, gray area you're dealing with in life right now, trying to understand, how to take action on certain things to either uplift eighth house burdens and traumas, and how to find, where you're individually comfortable at in some type of shape or form, do initiating certain things in your life with certain passions and goals, right? But that full moon in the second house is helping you to understand how that value system supports that. So if the sun in the eighth house is trying to bring transformation into something in your life, you're realizing how you valuing this person, place, or thing is not helping that transformation right now. And that's what's creating more of a friction around this time and this shift that's taking place, because you're being forced to transform. You're being forced to initiate a rebirth in your life. This full moon is helping you to understand that environment, those people the people you be chilling with, that habit, this, that, and the third, ain't none of that supporting your ability to mentally, emotionally be invested in the transformations that you do desire in this eighth house. This second eighth house axis has a lot to do with habits. All right. We got the second house that's dealing with materialism and pleasures, this and the third, right? Things that, once again, you got is this is the home of Venus and the moon, both dealing with our feelings, emotions, pleasures, and feelings. And then is the Earth house, so it can create a lot of attachments with things in the material realm. Then we got the eighth house. We already know that house is dealing with desires and attachments and shit. So right now you're clearing a lot of these things up. It's not easy to just get over an attachment overnight, but the acknowledgement, at least in this period, if the acknowledgement hasn't been you should be able to see these things as the sun was transiting the eighth house, whether you've been running from them or not. But during this time, you got to be able to see these things, Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising, because the sky is the limit for you with these new fit with this new rebirth phase that you're initiating. If you're able to acknowledge them things, right, you're going to start to see more opportunities and pockets open up for you to connect your value to the world, or you to be able to utilize your second house traits, what you're good at, your talents, things you're creatively possessed, right, in order to develop more security and stability in your life, but also being able to use that as more of a positive center and system for you to walk your path dealing with transformation in your rebirths, right? And have an understanding as to why you initiating these things will transform things externally around this time. Okay, Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising. Now, the full moon in the second house is harmonizing with Mars in the 12th house. So, right now, universe is pulling on you to be intentional with all the creative and spiritual inclination that you have, in which you just being a Cancer Sun rising, you have a lot of it. Cancer Suns. I have homies that are Cancers, and they be talking, saying spiritual shit, and they don't watch nothing dealing with spirituality. They don't know shit about astrology, but they're philosophical. Is that Moon Jupiter energy here, right? Jupiter's exalted in Cancer. So with that with Mars in the 12th house, you guys been going through a lot of transformations in your life based off you clinging on more to solitude in some type of shape or form, but also cultivating your belief systems in different ways. Mars in the 12th house places you in an impulsive energy when it comes into creative energy. So a lot of you guys since last year have got real intentional, impulsive, and been initiating things dealing with your spirituality, but also dealing with your creative path as well. You know, there's been a lot of things with you Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising that you may have had on the back burner in your imagination. But since Mars got in the 12th house, you saying, fuck it. I don't care what transform, what changes. I need to jump into it. And that's what's been building frustration if you haven't been doing that, because Mars get frustrated when it gets in the 12th house. And it's like, damn, I want to act. I want to make music. I want to go on this spiritual retreat. I want to do this, that, and the third with my creative influences. And we ain't doing that here. That's what builds a lot of frustration for Mars in this house. So with the full moon transit in your second house, you're understanding how to make sure your value system aligns with this too. How's the people, places, and things you value and playing as a support system or a distraction towards all the things you've been doing with Mars in that 12th house, all the things you want to be intentional and proactive with in your 12th house and been proactive within your 12th house. Okay. And then lastly, we got that square to Uranus in the 11th. So, you know, the 11th house dealing with the external realm, associates, your friendships, group activity, right? Community. You got the full moon in the second house. These energies, your value system may have outgrown some of these relationships already. So you got the full moon transit in your second house, and you're more sensitive towards what positive things you should be valuing in your life and how to build more of a system in your life to hone in on your value system. But with Uranus in the 11th, now Uranus in the 11th house, strong as hell. So this chapter of your life, Cancer Sun, Cancer Risings, your whole all your partnerships and how you even deal with relating to others in the 11th house, all of that has been changing recently. So a lot of familiar relationships is transforming. A lot of you guys by feeling, because Uranus in the 11th house pushes you to take your individuality out in the external realm in some type of shape or form. So this whole chapter of your life from like 2016, 17 and whatnot, a lot of you guys been going through all different type of shifts, expressing different things in the 11th house, dealing with different communities in the 11th house, trying your best not to be comfortable here. All right. And with that being said, with the full moon squaring from the second house, you're understanding how everything you've been experiencing in the outside realm, how it has an effect on your value system and how to regulate that in a positive or negative way. All right. So let's say you've been going through different shifts with your art or creativity, expressing, trying to connect that into the 11th house in the past couple of years with the full moon in the second house. You're understanding how you may have how maybe, let's say some of these things didn't go your way. You're realizing right now in the full moon in the second house, like, I can't have these things impact my self-esteem to the point that I'm not continuing to pour into these things, right? Or a full moon in the second house square in Uranus in 11th, you're realizing like, okay, I went through these power and control issues with this, that, and the third when I was trying to connect with my individuality in the 11th house in some type of shape or form. But I'm understanding, you know, that's what I was supposed to learn from that community, that group, that partnership to refine my value system. So you're seeing the lesson in your 11th house activity within your value system. All right. And that's what I got going on for my Cancer Suns, Cancer Risings. So, family, I hope this provided some clarity. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this so I can post it. Okay, hope you guys get into your ritual work. Hope you guys are able to exhale this weekend. This has been a super long, busy week for me. So, I'm going to do my best to exhale around this time so we can jump into another progressive week during this Aquarius solar transit. All right, y'all already know the vibe. I love y'all guys. All right, and until next time, family. Peace.